Oh, how are you?
Well, how are you?
Good, good, thank you.
Okay, looks like Ark has started recording. First, we just want to say thank you for agreeing to do
Certainly.
this.
Certainly, thank you for inviting me.
It's appreciated that you're willing to submit yourself to our questioning.
Certainly.
So first, I just want to ask, how much do you know about the Demon Heart game or Raise the Character?
Yeah, so, I mean, when I auditioned for it, I had just seen a picture of the character and some lines of dialogue. And then when I got the role, I basically just got my dialogue and recorded that. So I had to infer a lot. um, And so, but actually, just earlier today, I thought, oh no, they're going to start questioning me about the game. I'd better actually look up some of it. so, so, so I did actually. I was just earlier looking up some. There was a playthrough I found on YouTube. So I was looking through some of that and seeing how some of the scenes were playing out. It's actually, I thought it was really cool the way that the number of choices there are. That it looks like pretty much every single conversation in the game will have 4 or 5 options of how you respond, which is amazingly detailed. I hadn't realized it had as much of that. So that's really cool to see.
So I guess that makes it a little easier, but we did gather some suggestions for descriptors from the users here. They how do I put this? I don't think I can describe how they are, so I just have to go into it.
Right.
So just some brief character descriptions are a spicy boy who is very sad. He has abandonment issues and is a sexy beast. An angsty demon boy and a sexy bratty man boy with abandonment issues and possible yandere tendencies.
That's perfect. Yes. Absolutely.
A slightly more detailed one from Shrimp, who provided this. It's very well written, good descriptions. So we have, on the surface, a confident and narcissistic demon. Deep down, a vulnerable, dependent, and lonely creature. He is a gorgeous man-goat with rippling muscles and scars. His leg fur is softer than all of the silks in the world. His skin is redder than a rose and supple to the touch, and his hands fade to a deep burgundy. His eyes are a gorgeous, piercing teal blue that seems to glow and make ladies swoon wherever he walks. He has some wings pierced by the blows of agony. His hair is black and silky, and his tresses caress his face, which shows his masculine goatee that make the loins of most women quiver. He has gorgeous pointed ears and horns, which make him I didn't read all of this through before. Which makes him mystical being of beauty and angst. P.S. He has a luscious ass.
All of that is absolutely true. Who was that? That wrote that?
Mini Shrimp Goddess.
Right, Mini Shrimp Goddess. Got it. That was beautiful. A beautiful ode to a beautiful character.
And then just a quick bullet point of the storyline with Ray's / Dorius, which I hope you don't mind spoilers.
Yes, sure. As long as, yes, presumably everyone is familiar with all of it, so that's fine. Yeah.
Everyone in the chat, as far as I'm aware, but just for future people who couldn't make it and have to listen later, here's your spoiler warning. I'll try to remember to say the spoilers are over when they. So let's see. So Dorius is born from the unwilling union of a peasant woman and a demon. His mother died when he was born, and the 2 witches who forced his mother to conceive in the first place took and imprisoned him. He spent many years imprisoned and tortured. When he finally got the chance for freedom, he killed the 2 witches and made them into skeleton servants. He started wandering. Yeah, of course. He started wandering the world, looking to learn as much as he could to refine his intellect, since his poor childhood made him physically weaker than other demon spawn. One day he comes across Orchid and Bright, and he begins stalking them, as you do.
Yes.
In a fit of rage, he kills Orchid, imprisons her her demon spawn child, takes his name Raze and the amulet that was meant to link him to Bright. And Bright, however, gets blamed for the murder, ends up in prison. Raze wanted a demon heart at his side, but when Bright gets out of prison, they start communicating, and eventually Bright finds out who he really is and must choose to either kill him and free the real Raze, or ally herself with him, leaving the real Raze behind.
Right.
So that is...
I hadn't actually seen his real name anywhere in the script. I don't think he ever says it.
No, he definitely would not say it. He doesn't like to be referred that way, I don't believe.
Right. Okay, yeah, so I'd gotten from the script, I had gotten the stuff about Raze being the name of the child who he'd kept imprisoned and sort of was in this tormented, half alive state. I'd gotten that, but yes, I didn't know about the actual details of the backstory there. So that's cool to know. Yeah. No, thank you for filling that in.
I think it's mentioned by one of the witches in the dialogue, if I remember correctly, but somebody else will probably correct me as to when it actually gets. So it's just some other Demon Heart and Raze specific questions that we got. Are there any characteristics in Raze that are similar to your own or that you could relate to?
Probably. I mean, insofar as I think I've mentioned this when I've chatted on this on Discord here before. It's one of my childhood favorite characters always was the Phantom of the Opera, and he's very much like that. He's got that kind of theatrical, and he presents this confident theatrical persona of someone who is very smooth and charming and suave and talented and brilliant, and then really it's a lot of that is a persona that's hiding a lot of this tragic brokenness and this loneliness and this isolated quality. And I've always loved characters like that, so there must be something. There must be some. Yes, I guess I'm just a tortured genius. That must be it, really. But I've always connected with the slightly isolated kind of characters. I think it's an artistic thing, really. I think a lot of us artistic types often have that feeling, and so I like characters who are kind of outside of society in some way, looking in and wondering what on earth this thing is, and who are introspective, and so I really connected with that about him. But I don't have his physique, I admit, and that's to my shame because he is beautiful.
I think not having goat legs is.
That's very true. That's probably an advantage, all things considered.
Yeah, it's probably harder to get a job in this day and age if you had goat legs.
I'm sure it wouldn't affect voiceover though. You're just as fine for that.
Well, as long as nobody finds out. But
exactly,
some people can be a bit picky.
Yeah, probably. But yes, yeah. Anyway, I like characters who have a lot of sides to them because that is very real, and that we all kind of have our personas and how we see ourselves versus how other people see us and how we want to present ourselves to other people, and so that generally is always compelling to see in a character where the way they present themselves contradicts something about who they actually are, and so. Yeah, I mean, funnily enough, the description, some of the descriptions earlier that people were giving of the character, it reminded me a bit of. It's one of my favorite video game characters is Squall from Final Fantasy VIII because he has exactly that. So he's very introspective and he sort of portrays confidence outwardly, but inwardly, it was the abandonment issues. That was it. That was he has that massively, and so that was a thing that I liked about Squall and Raze certainly. Yeah, having that issue, that's fascinating because the character can seem. Yeah, I love Squall. The character can seem quite to other people. The character can seem very independent and assertive, and they stand on their own. But it comes from a deep fear of other people, and so it comes from a position of deep insecurity and vulnerability, that they're hiding just how much other people scare them. And so I think that's a wonderful feature for a character to have, and I think that is quite relatable in some way.
Yeah, I was gonna say that it's a pretty relatable across the large majority of people.
Yeah,
I don't know
exactly.
anybody that can't identify with that at least some.
Exactly. Yes. So I think it's great whether it's heroes or villains or something in between, any character that gets to examine that feature of human interactions, that we're always worried about what other people think of us, and worrying how to portray ourselves best to other people, and sometimes we end up putting on these false personas. And so it's something I've been sort of learning throughout my life, is how to be as genuinely me as possible and not being afraid of that. That's it's in many ways it's empowering, and in many ways I've found that people have liked me more when I've been more genuine and not projecting a generic persona, but actually being specific about what I really think and feel. I've found that it's actually been better for my friendships. So it's
Oh,
yeah,
mhm.
yeah.
I think it's something you kind of learn as you get older, and sort of that
Hmm.
people just want a genuine connection.
Hmm. Yes, definitely,
Um,
definitely.
but back to race.
Yes.
Um,
Apologies, I'm making rather tangential answers to these things.
I
But
don't think
but this is the
anybody would
power
complain.
of storytelling. It's the power of storytelling, is that it is so universal, because it does tap into so many deeper issues. But yes, yes, go ahead.
So is Ray's, or would you consider Ray's the most evil character you've ever voiced? And if not, who?
No, I don't think so. I mean, let me see. What does uh oh, did someone
Someone has died, but they'll probably come back.
oh, all right. Yeah, I mean, let's see. Oh, what's the most evil character I've played? That's a very good question. I mean, in general, I find that if, as an actor, you're wanting to get the most out of a character and you're wanting to bring as much to them as possible, then you actually, what you're trying to do is to justify them. You're, rather than judging them as, oh, this is bad, this person is bad, and I'm going to play them as bad, what you kind of try to do is try to understand where they're coming from. And so, even though from an outward perspective, someone would just go, oh, that person's evil, what you're trying to do as an actor is you're trying to take that judgment away and actually go, I am this person and I need to understand them. And so, in a lot of the time, acting, it's kind of, you're kind of justifying the character more than judging them. Um, Having said that, there are some characters that are clearly just kind of cartoony villains, and and there's nothing wrong with them just being a cartoony villain. I'm trying to think. Uh, I can't immediately think of a character that I've played that would be the best example of that. I've been quite lucky in that a lot of the roles I've played have been a bit more faceted than that. There's an animated series on YouTube, by a fairly well-known guy, Chris Niozzi, Kerbofer. He's involved with Team 4 Star, I believe, and they do quite a lot of parodies and fun stuff. And he did an animated series called Tome, and they got me to play Serpentine, who was this uh, sort of evil snake guy, but it turns out that he's really just kind of jealous of the hero, and he's kind of hurt and feels a bit neglected. So it's always, when you have these destructive characters, when you get down to their motivations, there's usually something sympathetic there, unless they're just completely psychopathic. But that was a really fun role because I got to do a Tim Curry voice for him, so that was great. I Tim Curry's my hero. Like, we got to do all that kind of stuff, so that was great.
That sort of answers one of the questions that we had, which was, is Ray's fun to voice?
Oh yes, yeah. I mean, immediately, even from the audition, I think from the audition lines, I think they had his first line, which is that wonderful. It's something like, "Ah, fresh air, no anti-demon seals." And as soon as I saw that, I thought, "This is fun. This is very." He's got a sense of humor about him, and so that was very charming. And when a character has that playfulness and that, I love witty characters and playful characters, especially if that wit and playfulness is hiding something deeper and darker. I think that's great fun.
So going back into question order, would you ever voice a conversation between Brash and Rays that was written by fans? This is something we also asked Jonathan. That I will let you his answer after you say your answer.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, he said yes as well.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. Yes. I hope the Yaoi fangirls go mad with it. Go for it. Unleash your darkness. No, yeah, I'm happy to record or voice anything. Yeah, absolutely. I still need to actually send. I need to do that recording that you guys have asked for, haven't I? There was one.
Yeah.
There was like a competition, and you wanted me to sort of say some kind of love line to
yeah, I can dig up the stuff if you don't have it still, but I have it somewhere, so we can send it to you again if you need. Oh my god, the chat's going a little fast.
Yes, it is. Yes.
Okay, so just to wrap up on the last two of the Rays specific questions, what are your favorite lines from Ray's role?
Yeah, well, I liked the Anti-Demon Seals one because it's so, he's just kind of, I didn't actually, when I read that line initially, I think it was, I wasn't quite sure whether he was just a voice in the head or whether he'd actually appeared, but having seen it in the game, I know that it's just a voice in the head, but I could kind of imagine him sort of materializing and just sort of walking with his hands outstretched, here we are, kind of thing. So there was a great sense of, play to that. I'm thinking I love his lines that are more intense and kind of the very possessive stuff. That's great fun because you're getting through to his real deepest feelings and fears. And do you appear in one of his dreams at one point? Is that what happens? That seems to be a point.
Yeah, well, sort of.
It was something like he was telling you that you weren't supposed to be there anyway, and I think that was the first time in the script that I got to a point where it was like, oh, he's no longer in control here, and so that was a good one. I don't know if I can remember the specific lines though, so if anyone in the chat wants to write down any of them for me to say, you're more than welcome to do so. But yeah, that was a really cool moment because then I sort of think, oh yes, we're getting to see this dark underbelly to the character and what he's like when he's not in control. Because a character can seem very, very smooth and very suave when they seem to be in control of the situation, but as soon as they're taken off guard and they're not prepared, I find it fascinating to see how they respond then, because a lot of the time they suddenly lose all of that coolness, and that's great fun.
It seems like apart from someone's arguing with Toddbot, they're yelling out some of the lines from the.
Let's see. In the voice chat.
Yeah, the voice chat channel here.
Let me see. I was looking. I hadn't seen. Oh, it was the. Let's see.
There's one that's I am not a pathetic child, I think.
Okay. Right. Yes, I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure if that was a quote of his or if it was just someone saying that in the chat.
I think they really desperately in those Snickersnee where I think that's how that is.
Right.
That
Okay.
just desperately want to hear them.
Yes. So is that one of the lines that is actually voiced, or is it not voiced?
I think the pathetic child one is voiced.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I am not a pathetic child. He can get intense, and that's great
Mhm.
fun. Love that.
This seems to have been what they wanted. So the last of our raised specific questions that I have at least
Oh, they want one.
pre-submit.
They want
Oh,
one other one. I'll say it. I'll say it. You are mine. There we go. Done.
they're gonna. Oh dear.
Oh, excellent. Oh, did he shout it? Okay, okay. You are mine. There we go. Now we've got both levels. You can pick which one you prefer.
Okay. So the question is, would you choose either like the real Rays if you were in that situation, or would you choose the older Dorius?
Yeah. So if you choose Dorius, then you are. Does that mean that this kid Reyes is just tortured for eternity then?
Yeah,
That's
theoretically.
theoretic. Well, if it's only theoretical, I'm sure it's fine. It's fine.
The other option is that, in theory, that child will also be one of the ones that starts sort of like the end of the world because reasons. But Dorius wouldn't want to end the world because it would be overrun by all of the demons who are stronger than he.
Yes. Yes, that's a good point. And then if you choose to save the kid Reyes, does that mean that Dorius is does he have to take the place as being trapped, or what happens to him
Yeah,
then?
he gets put in the.
Right. So one of them has to be there. Well, yeah. That's yeah. I mean, I have to be loyal to my character, really, really, because that's the point of view that I've come to the story from. Is I'm raised, so I have to choose him.
I think that's only fair. So we have a assortment of sort of general voice work questions.
Uh-huh.
So to start with, one of the questions is, what is your method to create a natural laugh? Do you do things like think about your favorite joke?
Yes, that's an interesting one. Yeah, because I know that laughing. Oh, yes, I'll get to that question. But laughing is it's something that some people find quite tricky with voiceover. I think for me it was always relatively intuitive, but there are things like that that everyone has. With like some people find it really difficult, some people just find it just comes to them. With laughing, I think. That's a very good question. I don't have to think of something that makes me laugh specifically. I can just decide to laugh, and I can decide what kind of laugh I want it to be. So, if you want a character who is very in control, then it's going to be quite a steady laugh. Whereas if you've got someone who's a bit out of control, then the laugh can be much less regular. And so the main thing with laughter is that you can't do it by going ah 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 ah. That's what people sometimes do when they're not quite sure how to do a laugh. Is that they think that they've got to place each one of those ah ah ah, whereas it actually you're exhaling all the way. It's all you're breathing out all the way through. So that's the main thing for the physical mechanics of how a laugh works is that you have to be exhaling all the way. But in terms of in terms of different types of laugh, I love the fact that a laugh is such an expressive instrument. When Mark Hamill played the Joker, he said that he treated the laugh like a musical instrument, that it can get so many different contexts and expressions. And so I find that if you're playing a character, yeah, if they're in control, then the laugh is in the chest, and it's kind of presented in a sort of and that's someone who's in control. Whereas if they're very out of control, it's more likely to be kind of and it goes all over the place, and it's almost it's deranged. It can go all over the place in terms of pitch and rhythm. The more variety there is, the more interesting it can be. So I do love playing around with laughs in terms of what they mean in that moment for the character. But yeah, I don't think about something that makes me laugh. I more just do the physical thing that makes the laugh happen, I guess.
So when should we expect your TED Talk on laughs?
There we go. Yes, exactly. Oh, that's yeah.
It was. I think we all learned a lot.
Good.
The second question here is kind of jumping
I've
ahead.
seen some of the questions going by in the chat. I like that.
Yeah, I'm taking note of them.
Do you lose your glasses frequently? Thankfully not. But that's just because I wear them all the bloody time. I can't go without them. My eyesight it's gotten progressively useless over the years, so I just need to wear my glasses all the time. so I only take them off to go to bed. So that's yeah.
If you wanted, we could go back to that Seraphis question.
Oh yes. So Seraphis was because well, it was because when the internet started out, you found that if you were joining a forum or an online game, you needed to type in a username, and Stephen isn't a very unusual name, so I always found that I would have to sit there thinking and typing in various configurations of letters and numbers and things to try and so I thought, right, I'm going to circumnavigate this problem by coming up with a unique online name that I can just always use for everything that no one else. So I played around with various configurations until I came up with a name that sounded quite nice. I thought Seraphis, that looks quite nice, it sounds quite nice, and when I typed it into Google, nothing came up. So I thought, right, now I can use that for the rest of my life, hopefully. So it was my solution to needing online names for forums, basically.
Can you imagine being born in 10 years from now when you can't do that? There are no unique names left.
Oh yeah, that'd be terrible, wouldn't it? Yes. I think it has happened once that I tried to join a server or a forum or something, and Seraphis was already used. And I thought, what? Who did it? Who stole it? But yeah, I got it by trying out a couple of configurations of letters and then gradually spelling them differently until no results came up. And the name came about. The Rufus bit came from Rufus because I loved Rufus Shinra in Final Fantasy VII. He was my favorite character in that game. He's like Artemis Fowl or something, kind of young genius but totally bored, and very spoiled as well. And I thought, I love that. That's great. So yes, Rufus. I liked the name Rufus, and so I wanted to work that into my username, and so that became Rifus as I gradually respelled it to make it unique. And then the name started with an S because of Stephen, but also everything good starts with an S. Samurai is an S. Sword is an S. So I thought, yes, it has to start with an S. So that was yes, that was how I constructed that name. Shrimp, I guess. Yes, shrimp also.
I feel like I can't disagree with you because my name is Shayla, which starts with an S. So
there we go.
We just have to start a club now.
Yes, the S Club. Haha.
S Club 7.
Exactly.
Okay, so oh wait, did I ask this question? I don't think I got to this question. How have you ever voiced 18 plus lines? And then the question follow up is, and what if so?
Sorry, what was the follow up? You cut out for a second.
Sorry. The question was, have you ever voiced 18 plus lines? And then the follow up is, and where? And then maybe not that one.
Yes. So I wrote the soundtrack and did the voice for a character in an explicit visual novel called Chess of Blades. So there was a character called Arden who Arden, and he is lovely. He's so sweet. He reminded me of Alistair from Dragon Age Origins, who I had a total crush on when I played that game because he was lovely. So I very much thought of him for playing Arden, and yes, that was an English accented character. He was a bit younger, so the voice was kind of up here, a kind of light, softer kind of tone. And yes, there were outright sex scenes to record for there, so that was entertaining. And yes, I also wrote the orchestral soundtrack for that, so that was really cool to get to do.
Oh, so you do also music work for games sometimes, or is that just like a one?
Yes, I'm writing soundtracks for 2 games at the moment, so I've got my work cut out for me. I'll have to see if I can get around to actually getting it all finished. But yeah, I'm composing for 2 games at the moment. I've done some collaborations with people doing song covers. There's a singer on YouTube called Sapphire, and she does lots of she does lots of song covers from anime, and so I sometimes make instrumentals for her occasionally. So yes, yeah, I've been doing music. I started playing piano when I was 8, and I started messing around with composing on computer kind of shortly after that, and I've been doing that ever since. So so I use sampled instruments on computer, but designed to sound as real as possible, so I can. It's very unique because I have worked with live musicians as well before, but something that I like about composing on computer is that I can literally write in every single note and exactly how long it is and how the note expresses itself, the vibrato, everything about the note. I can be in complete control of every second of the performance, and so I kind of get to be the performer of every player in an orchestra at once. So that's really cool. It's very unique. So I get to be a total musical dictator, which is great fun. So yeah, I really enjoy writing music on computer. It suits me as being. It's the same way that voice acting appeals to me, is that it's artistic, but it's also technical. And I like those combination of things, that with voice work, you're kind of learning to be a sound engineer as well. You're learning how to use the microphone. You have to be the right distance from it and make sure that you don't breathe too heavily into it. Otherwise, you get that sort of stuff. So there's a technical element as well as an artistic one. And I really like that combination in music and acting as well. So that's that.
We just have a question from Ark on sort of follow up on that, which is, which program do you use for creating music?
I use Cubase, which I've been using that for years. There's a lot of music programs out there, but yes, for sequencing instruments, yeah, Cubase, Cubase Elements, because it's the cheapest version and it does everything I need to do. So that's the one that I use, and then there are different companies out there that make different sampled instruments that you can import into Cubase. So then I scour the internet for the best sounding piano or the best sounding violin or the best sounding trumpet or whatever it is, and I can load them all into that collective program. So yeah, it's good fun. It's technical stuff. But
Seems like,
oh my goodness, yes, I've just noticed my name changed.
Yeah.
I'm Rufus T. Sparklepants, at your service. Excellent.
That's fair. I think that should satisfy them for at least a few minutes. Okay, so back to my question list before the chat takes over again. What are some of the most challenging characters to voice in your career?
Well, because I've got quite a deep voice, it takes a lot of work to do younger, higher voices, but I enjoy them. Um, Partly because the younger characters are so pretty, especially in anime. They are beautiful, but also it's fun getting younger character as a sort of archetype. Younger characters tend to be more um they tend to be more emotional. They tend to be more surprised by things. The characters with deeper voices are more often more stoic and more in control. You get moments of loss of control, but yeah, sort of younger characters, they tend to be more emotional. And so I find both of those things are really fun. But yeah, so that's always a challenge for me, is doing a younger voice, because as soon as I relax, my voice comes back down to here. And so you have to be very careful about keeping the voice consistent if it's in a fairly extreme vocal range. Um, yeah, so I think that's sort of in terms of the technical side of doing a voice. For me, it's certainly harder to do younger voices than to do older voices. I've been playing old men since I was about 17 because of having a deep voice. But it's a lot of fun getting to play younger characters as well, and that's something I love about voiceover, is how, as long as your voice can do it, you can play it, and you really don't have any restraint. There's no constraints about. It doesn't matter what you look like or what age you are. As long as your voice can do it, you can play it, and I think that's an amazingly exciting thing to explore. So there's that.
It's definitely something that adds to the storytelling, to be able to hear the voice done in such a way. So the next question we have is, what has been your favorite character or project that you've ever worked on or
Let's see. I mean, Ray is definitely a great one. I liked. There's a game called Inked, where I played the sort of main character, Adam, who is this. Goodness, he is a bipolar comic book writer. And so he it's a very interesting concept of game, because he draws you. The character that you play as in that game is a comic book character drawn by this artist. And so the artist he's drawn you, and then he's drawing the obstacles that you have to climb over and the puzzles that you have to solve. And so there's a kind of element where my character Adam is kind of the narrator, and he's the creator. He's telling you where to go, but it's kind of got the Stanley Parable element, where if he tells you to go somewhere and you don't do it, he gets annoyed at you. And so he's both a guide and he can be a potential antagonist. And then you get flashes of his real life as well, where there's a lot of drama going on and a lot of trauma in his life, which is why he kind of escapes into creating comics. And so it was just a very human character, getting to be a narrator and an antagonist, and this guy hanging out with his girlfriend, and then deep traumas and troubles and suffering with bipolar, and he's suicidal at one point, and then he's really manic and controlling at times. That was very, very cool. I love characters who get to do that kind of thing. So yeah, that was the character Adam in the game Inked. That was very cool to do. The biggest, sort of highest profile game I was involved with was when I got to do Dragon Age Inquisition. I got to go to London and record for that, and I played 4 characters in that, and it was great fun playing Lord Pell Harmond, who was a very smarmy, rather pleased with himself character, who was he's this lord who approaches you and basically says, "Oh, I'm terribly sorry for all the killing that's been going on, but business is business, and you can join up with me if you like, and you can either do that or kill him." And so that was just such an exciting occasion to go to London and record for Dragon Age, which I'd already been a huge fan of that franchise, and it was crazy getting to actually do that. So that's been amazing. And then more recently, I've recorded stuff for Warhammer as well. So it's been amazing, the opportunities that have been coming up. So yes, I guess those are 2 of the outstanding characters though that I've gotten to play.
So then, to get into characters like that,
Mm.
that kind of goes into the next question. How do you get into character? And the
Mm.
question also adds, do you wear a funny hat, listen to music, or...
Yes. Hmm. Right. Yes. Yeah. No. I mean, I've worked with someone before who to do a voiceover, she would put her headphones on and listen to music that would get her into the right mood for the line. Um, I don't really have anything like that. I tend to. I mean, the way that I've learned voiceover is by finding the best performances that I can in video games and listening to them lots and learning to imitate them perfectly or as perfectly as I can, recreating them so that I can then analyze what works and why and try to make sense of that and then be able to replicate those patterns in my own work. And so I started out by doing impressions of characters from Kingdom Hearts. I think Kingdom Hearts 2 basically was the time when I first that was when 2007. I think that was around the time I started being interested in voiceover and recording. So I was kind of doing impressions of Disney villains and practicing singing as well. And I started recording my voice and listening back and comparing it to the professional performances and seeing what are the differences and am I able to sound like what they're doing. And that was sort of me learning the ground rules of how to use a microphone and record myself, but also how to use my voice and express text interestingly, learning the techniques of what makes a good storytelling performance, what makes a good acting performance. And there's a lot of rhythm, there's a lot of music to a good voiceover. And so I was able to approach it from a musician's point of view. Um, for Ray's in particular, I was thinking of Billy Zane, who played the villain in the first Kingdom Hearts game, because he's got that kind of smooth, seductive sound, and I thought that's perfect. That's exactly right. So I was thinking of him for getting the right kind of voice. So yeah, there's a whole number of things that go on. I mean, when you approach a character, it helps a lot if there's a picture of them, um, and then that gives you an idea of what you. I tend to look at the character and I think which actors would be good for this? And in my head, I can sort of think of maybe 5 actors who are in a similar style who could fit that character, and that gives me a good idea of what kind of sound is needed for the character, and I can start to synthesize that. And yeah, I also just try to think about um, the language that the character uses. I look at their vocabulary. How do they speak? What's their speech pattern like? And what kind of vocabulary do they use? That tells me something about how eloquent are they, or how straightforward are they. Whether the sentences are very long and flowery, or if they're very short and to the point. And so that's you're trying when you're acting, you're trying to find as many clues as you can to nail down exactly what's needed for the character. And so what they look like, what kind of vocabulary they have. And I like to think about what actors would be good in this role, like professional actors who I've heard and in different things and characters that they've played, what has been similar to this, and sort of learning to group these things in my mind so I have a reference point. Um, I find all of that is very, very useful to bear in mind when trying to figure out an approach to any particular character. Hmm.
It's a pretty comprehensive answer. But I think that kind of covers it for that. So, in that sort of line, what kind of character would you be interested in voicing now or after your next project?
Um, I guess, I mean, I always like to play a character who is different to what I've done before or different to the previous character I've played. I've been very lucky in that regard that so far I haven't been typecast. I haven't been cast for one kind of role. Even just among visual novels as a genre, I think every character I've played has been quite different. Some have been heroes, some have been villains, and they've had very different temperaments. Some are very stoic and controlled, and some are absolutely wild and out there. So I like variety really, and it can be nice to play a character that's very like myself because that way I can relate very easily, and it feels like I can bring a very distinctive um, I can just play the character as Stephen basically and get away with it, and that's the kind of celebrity approach to acting. When you have actors like Harrison Ford or Sean Connery or Michael Caine, they turn up and they pretty much be themselves, and it works. And so that's one approach. But then I also love the more chameleon approach of playing characters that are completely unlike me and having to figure out how to do those. And so I love acting in sort of every genre and direction. Really, I get something out of all of it. And so yeah, as I say, I've been very lucky to get to play very different characters fairly consistently. And so I'm always just trying to cultivate my range emotionally as an actor and also vocally. That plays into the fact that I do a lot of singing as well. Just cultivating as much vocal range so that any character that people throw at me, I can go, oh yeah, I can do something for that. That's the ideal. Um, so yes, it's what character would I like to play next? I mean, this actually relates back to your question about favorite characters I've played. There was one character I played who was, I think he was a World War II private who was discharged. He wasn't a real person, but this character, um, he was discharged from the army with PTSD, and he ends up sort of murdering his wife in a sort of psychotic fit of jealousy and insecurity. And that was great fun. It's so much fun playing characters who are absolutely nuts and who are just completely emotion hinged, because it is very cathartic to just get to scream into the microphone, and you're just putting all of that. There's no control at all. There's just woof, and that's great fun. It's great fun to play a character who is completely out of control and who is very vulnerable, but it's also dangerous. And that's great fun to just play people who are absolutely out there with no control over themselves at all, because of the energy involved in that. But likewise, it's great fun playing characters who are very controlled and very restrained and very restricted, because all the emotion is under the surface and it's so subtle. And they have emotions; they're just hiding them, or they're keeping them very close to the chest. And so, I love it all. I love it all. I love it all. Basically, is the short answer.
This probably allows you to get more voice acting positions when you're open to doing pretty much it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'd seen a friend of mine at one point who'd posted on social media that he much prefers villains to heroes, and I thought that's fine. I mean, to be fair, as a rule, generally villains are more interesting. But I try to make every character interesting to me, and I enjoy playing heroes as much as villains, even though villains have typically been my favorite characters and things. But I try to. I think there was an actor once who'd said that you have to find the villain in the hero and the hero in the villain, and so you find you want the character to have shades of grey a lot of the time, although sometimes even that isn't a rule. I mean, if it's very cartoony, if it's very over the top, then you can just go ha, and that's fine. Sometimes that's exactly what you want, and so I love all the variety in storytelling. I love video games for that reason. That people sometimes complain that video games are all the same, but there's such a variety out there. There's such an amazing variety of genres and games out there, and there could probably be more in terms of the AAA industry. But the indie market is doing a pretty good job, like Demon Heart. I love the variety of genre in storytelling and in characters out there, and it's great. You know, if you can find something to enjoy about all of it, then yeah, it means that you'll find more joy in the craft of it. And yeah, I'm happy to, as soon as I get given a character, I try to read as much as I can into them and find as many facets of them that I find interesting. So yeah, I think I have a suspicion that if you enjoy playing the character, it comes across. And so if you enjoy the character as an actor, it's going to make the character more interesting to everyone else as well.
I feel like I should ask you at this point, do you want to go get a drink of water, take a break?
I'm fine, actually. I'm quite okay. Yeah, no, I'm fine if everyone else is.
Okay, we just, gotta have some water, refresh yourself if you. We don't want to, ruin your voice. It's kind of.
No, that's quite all right. No, I'm fine. I'm fine.
Okay, so sort of, it sounds like you voiced a wide range of characters, which makes this question kind of fun. So, hypothetically speaking, would you be friends, enemies, or even date some of the characters you've?
Well, as I say, Arden in Chess of Blades was very much like Alistair from Dragon Age, so I would totally date Arden. So that's yes, that's definitely he was lovely. Raze would be a challenge. He would be quite intimidating, I think. But the thing with characters like him, I think the reason, yeah, the abs are intimidating.
Yeah, fair.
They are. I mean, I would feel terribly inadequate about my physique. The thing with characters like him, I think one of the reasons you see in a lot, especially in a lot of, I guess it's a very common trope for kind of women's erotic fiction, is that the man tends to be dangerous on some level, and I think that's because there is something very attractive about the idea of redeeming someone else. And if you find someone who's kind of dangerous and a bit crazy, if you can rein them in, and if you can, yes, there's something attractive about the idea of being the person to redeem them in some way. I think that's one of the qualities of a character like Ray's, is that when they have that tragedy to them, you kind of want to be the one to save them. And so I think that's what makes them. That's the romantic side of them. Those characters, and I think that's why that's such a common trope for a lot of that kind of storytelling. So I think that's what's attractive about a character like Ray's, is that you, even when you know that he can be well out of control and do terrible things, a part of you sort of sees that, oh, but he could be a good guy, and I could maybe save him and be a good influence in some way. And I think that's what makes those characters there. Oh, or indeed do terrible things together. Yes, exactly. It's all true. I'm not sure any other character. I've just been playing a character. Let me see. Uh, hmm. I can't. I can never keep track of which projects I can talk about. It's the terrible thing about doing voiceover or acting in general, is that you always have to sign NDA contracts, which means you can't talk about the work until it comes out. And the problem is that half the time I don't know when it comes out. So, because they don't bloody tell me half the time. I just record the lines, send them off, and then I get paid, and I just kind of have to forget about it. So I often have to Google the characters I've done later to find out when the things come out. But I have recently played another wonderful character who was kind of in. He wasn't quite like Arden. He was more. It was an American character. That's the thing. A lot of the voice work I do, a lot of it is American accent. Sometimes it's English accent. So being able to do both is very useful. And I basically learned an American accent by imitating American voices, starting with, I think, Gaston from Beauty and the Beast. I think that was my introduction to learning an American accent, was, who does she think she is? I think that was where it started. But I've recently played a very energetic, outgoing kind of character who that was fun, because it's not very much like me, at least not in groups. I find that, yeah, there we go. I'm intimidating. I find that I can talk plenty one-on-one, but when I'm like around physically a group of people, I just kind of shut off a bit because I'm not quite sure how to talk in groups. So yeah, I'm a one-on-one extrovert, but not so much with groups. And so it's fun playing characters who are more outgoing, because yeah, it's getting to explore other sides of myself, which I think is what a lot of acting is about. And I think that playing a gay character in Chess of Blades was useful to me. Being gay, it's actually getting to play a character who expresses that side is there. It's lovely getting to do that kind of thing. Yeah.
Let's see. What is the next? Oh, in terms of things you've had to do to sort of get a certain voice, one of the questions we have is: have you ever had to or
Mm.
chosen to get drunk to voice a character?
I have not. I don't drink very much because I've never liked the taste of alcohol, which I gather nobody likes the taste of alcohol until they finally drink enough of it that they stop tasting it. I think is basically more or less how it goes. Um, I gather it's always a bit of a hurdle to get over, but I've never really gotten over the hurdle. It's always yeah, I've never liked the taste of alcohol, so I find it quite entertaining being tipsy. It's very amusing. I tend to sort of rock around in my chair and find everything very funny. It's a pleasant state of mind. But yeah, I don't tend to drink. And so again, with the character I was most recently playing, with a character I was recently playing anyway, I had to do a few drunken lines. But it was comedic, so the focus was on it being funny, really. Um, so yeah, when I'm doing that, I don't have to worry too much about how genuine it sounds, as long as you kind of slow it your way through the line. You know, you can do the kind of stereotypical stuff, and it works. Um, but yeah, I don't really drink much, so I certainly haven't used it in voiceover.
Probably for the best. So if you haven't gotten drunk, then I assume that's probably not among the memorable experiences. But what are some of the most memorable experiences you've had in your voice acting?
Yeah, well, I mean, definitely recording for Dragon Age because, sorry, that was that was that was the first. I got into that because there was an online fan competition for I think it was called Take Your Place in the Inquisition, and you could submit a YouTube video of you reading reading some lines of dialogue. So yes, I'll just fill up my water bottle. Yes, I'll be 1 second. I'll
No
be back.
worries.
I'll just be a second.
Okay, I'm just unmuting myself quickly while he's not here because this is just making me laugh so much. It's what we were just saying before about bullying people into looking after themselves. It's literally this.
Right, here we are.
It's always good to hydrate.
Yes, indeed, indeed. Hydrate. Yes. So where was I? What tangent was I in the middle of rambling about?
Memorable experiences.
Ah, yes. Yeah. So yeah, Dragon Age was amazing. Yeah, I auditioned for. Yeah, there was a fan competition on the internet, and I thought I'd go for it because I'd done some small stuff, some little indie things, and lots of little fan projects over time, and yeah, I figured it was worth trying out for. And I mean, funnily enough, I'd sort of studied a lot of the voice work in Dragon Age. I um I had worked on impressions of basically all of the main cast from that game. So it was when I saw that there was the opportunity to actually be in one of these games, I thought, well, I know what their voice acting sounds like. So I figured that had given me some edge as to if you played the games, it's a good advantage for knowing how the voice work should sound to fit into a game. And so yeah, so getting to go to London. I mean, it was the first time I'd walked into a professional voiceover studio, and it was surreal and definitely one of the highlights of my life. It was incredible, and I got to play 4 characters who were all quite different. But it was also very fast paced because they literally wouldn't tell me which character it was until I walked into the booth. So I would walk into the booth and they'd say, "Okay, you're playing this character who is in his 30s, and we need him to have a very well spoken accent." And then the dialogue would be projected on a screen in front of me, and they would say, "Go for it." And so I would just then have to read the line twice, and then they would pick the take they liked, and then we'd move on to the next line. So it was just really on the spot, but it was so exciting, and it honestly, it didn't feel scary. What it felt like was coming home. That was what it felt like. It felt like I was exactly where I was supposed to be, doing exactly what I was supposed to be doing. So it was this amazing feeling just walking into a professional booth and just going, this is exactly right. This doesn't feel strange at all. This feels so natural. So that was a really good confirmation that voiceover was what I'm made for. Was just that sense of comfort, really, at a situation that could be very stressful, but it was exactly right. So yeah, that was a real standout moment. Almost all the other jobs I've done from my home studio. There was one other game I did, which was The Bard's Tale 4, and that was one that I got to do in another studio in Edinburgh, which is my hometown. So that was the other time I got to go into a studio, and that was also great, because yeah, it's really exciting getting to walk into like a professional studio, and there's a sound engineer through the other room, and you're in the special room with the special microphone, and those microphones cost probably about $4,000. They're expensive, so it's really really cool getting to do that. Yes, I am indeed Scottish. That is correct. My accent isn't very Scottish, because Edinburgh, in particular, being the capital of Scotland, has a much more soft accent, really, than somewhere like Glasgow, which has much stronger accents. It's also a lot of traveling. You get a lot of tourists coming and going here, and there's a lot of English people who live here. And my parents were both born in England, so I mostly have a very English accent. But yes, it was. Yeah, I was born in Scotland, and I've lived here all my life.
It
Sorry,
sounds like
I took over taking the questions there, but
no, it's okay. This is your Q&A after all. There's a request for the word lass in Ray's voice, if you will.
That's a good one, because that's a very Scottish word, but if you would say it in an American accent, it would become lass. And so that's it's kind of wee lass.
Yeah, it doesn't have the same.
It doesn't quite sound the same as wee lass. That's you're going properly Scottish about things. So, aye, she's a beautiful wee lass.
That actually works into another question that we have here, which is, what are your favorite accents to voice, and would you demonstrate?
Right. There was a game called The Letter, which was another visual novel, and I played the German butler in that, who was very dry. And for doing that kind of accent, it was very helpful that I studied German at school, and so it really helped for a lot of the time when you do an accent, you just copy someone else who has that accent. But really, I think the best way to do one is if you actually, if it's a foreign language accent, you learn some of that language ideally, and that gives you an idea for where that language sits. And so then you have an intuitive sense. You can do the accent naturally rather than stereotyping it or just doing an impression of someone else. You can make it personal. And so yes, with German, they don't have a th sound, and so you make it z rather than t or th. So this would often become this, and then they don't have a w, so it becomes a v. So vi rather than y. A lot of you get a lot of those things. I try not to overdo it. If anything, when I'm doing an accent, I try to make it more realistic and more nuanced. I try to underdo it rather than overdo it. But yeah, that's so German is good fun to do, and let's see what else. Oh, I did an Irish accent for one thing. Um, that's an accent that I've not really learned properly, but I did grow up watching some TV with. There's a comedy series called Black Books, and the main character is played by Dylan Moran, who is a very funny Irish comedian. And so yeah, so I had an idea of. I'm trying to think. Just switching through accents is quite confusing, but yes, I played. Now. Who was it? It was for a game called A Tale of Two Kingdoms, I think, and I played a character in that who he had an Irish accent, and so it's got that kind of soft, quite sort of sing-song quality to it. It's nice. And I think it's a Southern Irish accent that's got that softer tone, very buttery teas, So that's a nice one. It's got a nice lilting. Um, One that I haven't gotten to use yet, but Welsh is a very interesting one because it's maybe even more sing-songy than Irish. Irish has got a sort of soft lilt to it. Um, Welsh has got this kind of, as far as I can tell from what I've heard of it, it's kind of hyper articulated with this kind of sing-song quality to it. It's got those sorts of rhythms to it, and it's really cool. It's very tip of the tongue. Um, and so I guess the most famous Welsh actor is Anthony Hopkins, who was famous for playing Hannibal Lecter. But he usually puts on a more
I had no idea
kind
he was Welsh.
yeah. If you hear him talking in interviews, he's got that soft Welsh accent. It's he usually makes it more American or more English for his acting roles, but he's got a slightly stronger accent in interviews. So that's a really cool one. Yeah, it's a weird thing about being an actor though, is that most actors someone well, now you want a Southern American accent, I guess. Yeah, I've given a go at those a bit. Dang it, boys, shoot! It's basically the best phrase I think for for getting into that. I loved for Southern American, Southern USA. It was, I think that the first one of the first ones I heard of that was really funny was it was Dragon Ball Z. It was Super Android 13. He's the most ridiculous, over the top character, and he's got this amazing Southern USA accent where he's going on about, "Dang it, boy, shoot! How does scrawny little fella like you withstand a blast like that?" And it's wonderful. So I've occasionally dabbled in that one. But yeah, accents are all really fun. It's difficult though if you are oh goodness, yes, raised with a Southern American accent would be remarkable.
I don't want to hear that. Shrimp, I'm just gonna veto that one.
Oh goodness. But it's a tricky thing with an accent though. Some people find accents very easy. I find that they take work and a lot of concentration. So when I'm doing a character with an accent, I kind of have to focus on every line and sometimes do it a few times to get it right. Whereas some people have a very natural knack for them. I'm okay with them, but they can be tricky. They can take some work. So, I mean, I've done a number of American commercials, and even for just standard American, that's one of the most common. It's one of the most common accents I use. I still kind of have to think about it a little bit. It's never totally effortless for me. So it takes a little bit of concentration and especially when there's always another word that you don't know how to pronounce. Like, oh, what are some of the interesting different ones that really have taken me by surprise? I'm sure I heard a friend of mine who lives in San Diego. I think he said that it's pronounced Parmesan, the cheese, whereas we call it Parmesan. It's little things like that that can be very surprising, and you have to keep track of all of them. So it can be very complicated doing accents, but it's good fun.
Well, and then also there's the regional dialect problem.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And so I really don't, when I'm doing an American accent, I couldn't really say that I'm doing it from anywhere in particular. I'm just trying to do a kind of the most standard medium kind of actor's American accent that I've heard. But yeah, there are so many regional variations. It's especially the case in the UK. I don't know I don't know how to do half the Scottish accents out there. There's so many of them.
Yeah, I don't know that anybody would be able to do all of them. That would be quite a feat.
It's ridiculous. I mean, even in Edinburgh, like one city, there's an accent called the Morningside accent. Morningside is one street in Edinburgh. It's like, how does that have its own accent? How does that make any sense? But yeah, so the UK is ridiculous for just having its own dialect all over the place. What was that about? Well, okay, so Parmigiano is the Italian word, but I'm sure a friend of mine had said that in America, it's they pronounce it Parmesan.
Or Parmesan.
Parmesan, okay. Whereas
Parmesan, Parmesan.
Yeah, yeah. Whereas we would say Parmesan. Parmesan. So it's yeah, Parmigiano. I assume is something like the Italian pronunciation. I don't know if I've got that quite right, but it's something like that. Is it? Yeah.
Sort of one of those things where I feel like most people don't hear it said, and they just have to sort of guess at how to say it. So there's probably quite a variation thing. Do you, of personal interest, as a Canadian, do you know any Canadian accent?
Yeah, Canadian, I really don't know, because I have a couple of Canadian friends and none of them have strong accents. So to me, it just sounds like a soft American accent. I think, well, I do know that there are strong Canadian accents out there, but yeah, go on.
Yeah, so the Lulu Lee and myself are from an area that has a stronger accent, but the problem is that when online Canadians are often interacting with mostly Americans, so we kind of just talk like Americans when we're online.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's something that happens a lot. I think maybe there is an internet accent that will emerge as everyone kind of standardizes their accent to talk on the internet. I don't know. It does seem like a number of British friends I know who spend a lot of time on the internet kind of have semi-Americanized accents. So it seems to happen to a lot of people. If you spend a lot of time talking to Americans, you end up with this kind of American sound.
If you ever want to look into really interesting Canadian accents, the Newfoundland accent is definitely up there. It's sort of diverged from Irish accents because it had a large Irish population, but also Scottish and English.
Yes, that sounds about right, because when I've heard people sort of put on a strong Canadian accent, it sounded to me like a Scottish person doing an American accent. So it's like this weird half American, half Scottish or half Irish thing. It's a very to me it sounded very it was odd in that it was a very unusual sound. I thought, is that actually the accent? And yes, I gather it is, but in the sort of stronger regions. I've heard a few examples, but I definitely haven't learned how it works for doing one. So if I see a character needs a Canadian accent, I just leave it alone because I don't feel confident that I'd be able to do it.
All you need to say is bar, car, and about.
Right. So it's got a kind of bar.
It's called the overall Canadian accent is called Canadian raising. So you just sort of raise your vowel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that sounded like quite a twangy sound. Bar? That
Car,
kind of
bar.
thing? Or
Just
bar,
nip
bar,
out to the car.
car. Right. Interesting.
Okay, they're
That's
requesting
strange.
Italian accent if you know one.
Oh my goodness. I've never learned any Italian properly. The only sort of exposure I have to Italian as a language is the fact that it is used in music. So musical terms are all Italian. You get piano and forte and sforzando and things. But in terms of actually, oh, um, yes, in terms of I don't actually really know how to speak it, but I sing in choir. I sing in a choir every week. I sing in a cathedral choir. Despite I'm not religious, but I like the music, and cathedrals are such beautiful buildings, and so it's great to get to sing that kind of stuff. And so I sing in a couple of different choirs, and yeah, often the music is in Italian or in Latin, and so there's lots of those words sung, and so I have some idea of how to sing them, but that's not necessarily exactly how to just speak them in everyday speech, and how because there's a kind of melody to language, and as soon as you're singing, you're applying a melody that's in the music rather than the language, so it can be a bit different. Um, yes. Why does everyone keep wanting Is it Parmigiano? Is it a strong J? I think it is. Parmigiano would be my best guess. Everyone keeps mentioning it.
I can't explain them.
But yes, yeah.
It just is what it is. A phrase that my Scottish Gaelic teacher once taught me is how it is, how it was, how it always will.
All right.
So someone did ask a question actually, that there was a video that you did called The Crow. I'm not sure.
All right. The Raven.
Oh, okay. And they asked if you're going to do more YouTube stuff, and then please.
Yes, I really ought to. I'm just terrible about actually ever getting anything done. But it's one reason I like voiceover, is because it's a very finite amount of work. You get given the script, you record the words, and you send them off. Whereas when I'm doing something totally on my own, like song covers, you'll notice that my last one is probably about 3 years old or something stupid. I'm terrible about getting sort of content up on my YouTube and things. I feel that I ought to more often. But it's a combination of being an extreme perfectionist and lazy. So it's a case of things very rarely getting done when it's all up to me.
That's a pretty big mood.
Yeah, it's tricky. Perfectionism it's a real problem, and it's very self-defeating, because if you're saying I will only put this thing out there if it's absolutely perfect, and then it never is, then you never put anything out there. So that's no good. But at the same time, I take particularly digital media, I take very seriously, because when you put something out on the internet, it is there in an immortal form, potentially forever, shared with the entire world. And I think that's something worth doing right. It's amazing to me sometimes how flippant people are with social media and with YouTube. It's like, do you realize you're communicating to the entire world right now? And they'll just like it'll be sometimes so half-hearted or thoughtless, and I think it's something to take kind of seriously. But yeah, it's possible to be too far the other side and never get anything done. So that's my problem. But yes, I would definitely like to get more stuff out there. In terms of something like readings, I haven't read very much poetry. I mean, The Raven's a good one. I haven't read that much poetry. At school, I had real trouble with it. I didn't really understand poetry for the most part. But I'd be interested in maybe doing some other readings. I'd been thinking of so my favorite books ever are the Legend of Drizzt books by Bob Salvatore. I love high fantasy. I love sword fighting and swashbuckling and high adventure, and those books just epitomize that genre, I think. And so I was tempted to maybe do a reading of one of those short stories for my YouTube to have a go at that. But yes, so yes, yes. I hope if you all pester me, that would be really, really useful because I do need to get more bloody stuff done, and
If
knowing that
you
people want it makes a difference.
if you make that ask, they will come through. I'm not sure you know what you're asking for.
Well, it does help to know that people actually want to see it. It gives me some kind of accountability rather than if I'm doing it purely for myself. It's it's very easy just to never put it out. And so, yeah, it's handy to know. I mean, it's yeah, I do really appreciate you guys, and I really appreciate that you'd be interested in seeing and hearing things because that it gives me maybe an additional motivation to get stuff out there.
Where I think if you say that you want to put something out there, no one in here will ever say no.
That's appreciated. Yeah.
So I have for like things that I have written down that were submitted prior to this. We just have a couple of general questions, and then I have some of the ones that were put in earlier in the chat log here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So the first one has to actually do with Dragon Age, which was saying that you had some parts in Dragon Age and other video games, and asks, "Are you a gamer?"
Yeah. The funny thing is that I used to play a lot of games, and then of course, when you get involved in the production side of them, you never play them anymore because you're spending all your time doing the work with them, and so I don't play that much these days. But I do love video games. I've been playing them, I guess, since I was 6. I remember that the first game playing machine that we had in the household was an Atari ST. And so the Atari ST, very old kind of computer, and yes, I remember. I think Atoms was the first game I ever played on that, and yes, it was my brother who got me into playing because I remember when we would have to leave the house and he'd be playing on the computer, and I was always thinking, "What's he doing? He's wasting time. Or what's so interesting about this thing?" And then when I gave a go at playing it, I thought, "Oh, right, now, now I'm going to be chained to this machine for the rest of my life." And so, so yes, I very much picked up gaming, and I do enjoy it. I guess what's the last game I've actually played? Sometimes me and my brother play Divinity Original Sin 2, which is a very, very long. Yes, it's a very long game.
Yes.
And so we've never quite finished it yet. We sort of every few months we get round to resuming and playing a bunch more of it for a few days, and then like there are just, it's so long and there are so many side quests and things to do. But it's so cool that there's a Western style RPG that has multiplayer. I think that's the first time I've ever seen that. So that's very, very cool. And amazing soundtrack as well. I love that. So yeah, and I'm very into Final Fantasy 15, despite its crazy development and all of the ridiculous madness that went on with it. I do like 15, and I loved Episode Arden because Arden, he's not the one that I played, but Arden Izunia, I think, he is maybe my favorite character from anything ever. He has so many different sides to him, and the fact that in Final Fantasy 15 you actually get to play as him in a section, that's the first time in that franchise where you could play as the villain and get his side of the story. And he's so good. And what's really cool is that the game, it's playable in multiple different languages. And so I've listened to his voice in English, Japanese, German, French, and now there's a Russian dub as well. And it's all available on one. Like, this is the first time that games have been kind of region free and you can get all the languages on one. It's so cool to hear his voice in all these different languages and look at to compare the translations. Yeah, there's a Russian dub that came out as of the Royal Edition. There is now a Russian dub of Final Fantasy 15. So it's so cool because you get a different actor, you get a different it's just so interesting seeing the same character, seeing the same animation, but hearing a different voice and seeing how their attitude comes across. And honestly, the French dub is outstanding. It is so good. I don't speak French, but I just listened to him and he was so good. He's so funny and such a good voice and so expressive. Ah, I was amazed. So he's another inspiration. I like taking foreign language inspirations because I can't copy them directly, but I can pay attention to the spirit of their work and the tone of their work and learn from that. So yeah, I like with anime, I love Japanese voice actors. Mamoru Miyano is amazing. Joji Nakata is amazing, and I've absolutely learned from roles that they've played. Mamoru was Light in Death Note, and his performance in the Japanese was outstanding. So he was a big inspiration to me starting out. And then, yeah, Arnaud Leonard plays Arden in Final Fantasy 15 in the French, and he's amazing. The English is also really good. So it's so cool having multiple good performances of a character. It's very, very cool. So yeah, there's a whole other tangent for you.
I don't mind the tangent. Good to hear you're drinking water. Was just gonna check it.
Yes. Oh yeah. And I love it's so interesting hearing different languages, and French dubs seem to be really good because I'd also checked out the Final Fantasy VII Advent Children movie in French, and it was really good. The way that they embody the characters' movements and expressions so well, the dubbing is fantastic, and the choices of the voice casting are really good. So from what I can tell, French dubs are very good. At least the bits that I've seen. I say that as someone who doesn't speak French, so my knowledge is limited, but I can hear the attitude. That's something that transcends language, is the emotion and the attitude and whether the voice fits the character or not. All of those things come across very clearly. So in the whole fight, there's another time. In the whole fight about subs versus dubs, I say it's all good. I say it's all good. If the performance is good, it's good, and I'll enjoy it as long as I can understand with the as long as I have subtitles to understand what's going on. I enjoy hearing things in Japanese. I enjoy hearing them in French and in English, whatever, as long as it's good. I mean, it's fascinating for me to compare them. I love it. And it was something I discovered as well with Disney songs, that on YouTube you can search up any Disney song and it's been done in like 25 different languages. It is fascinating. It's so cool. Something like with Mulan, with I'll Make a Man Out of You, the Danish is amazing. It's the manliest thing you've ever heard.
Someone go find that, please.
It's so good. Because like almost in most of the languages he's a tenor. In Danish he's like a baritone, and he's got this sort of husky manly voice, and with this very Nordic language. It sounds amazing. So yeah, I love just hearing the different languages of these things. Likewise, in The Prince of Egypt, the main character Moses, he sounds so nice in Greek. He sounds so lovely. And again, Danish is lovely for Quasimodo in The Hunchback of Notre Dame. He's got the softest, most purest voice you could ever hear. It's amazing hearing these other languages. Very, very cool. So that's a side hobby I've had for quite some time, is just listening to all the different languages of performances. And I can't tell if the actor, obviously because I don't speak the languages, I can't tell if the actor if they slurred a sound or if they mispronounced a word. I wouldn't know that. But you can hear whether they can sing or not, and you can hear whether their voice naturally comes out of the character and whether the attitude comes across. Those things are all very, very clear. So yeah, in the whole war of subs versus dubs, I just think if it's a good performance, it should come across really. And so yeah, I like it all.
As long as it works for the characters, but sometimes dubs ruin the character, which is unfortunate.
That's, I think, one of the big problems with anime dubbing is that sometimes the actual dialogue and the jokes and the setting is very Japanese. And so how do you translate a joke that is based on Japanese culture or language? How do you translate that into English? You kind of have to change the joke, but then people complain that you're changing the story in some way, or that you're getting too far away from the subject matter. So it's very difficult to get right in terms of getting the translation right for a dub.
I would
Real
say that
problem.
on the other side of that, it's probably the directing team that doesn't want to put the money into.
That's the other part of it, is that dubbing is the hardest voice work to do, and it's the lowest paid. So that's a fantastic combination. Yeah, it's a problem. It's definitely a problem with a lot of that stuff. That yeah, dubbing is. I mean, having done some of that myself, just for my own interest, it's getting you have to spend a day scripting the scene to get it right, and then you have to record and re-record and make sure it fits the timing, and make sure you're doing a voice that fits the character, and um, fitting the lip flaps and the movements, and it's so constraining, and yet you have to make it sound natural. And so it's really complicated to do, but again, it's what I love about art, is the technical side of it. So I really enjoy that stuff. I'm fascinated by script adaptation and lip syncing. Yeah, yes, there we go. We've got some flapping lips. There we go. That's my dub of that dog. So there we go.
In the more musical vein of lip flapping, we have sort of
That's a very good segue.
we have the questions of what kind of music are you into, and since you are a singer and music composer, what are your favorite musical genres?
Yeah, so I mean, um I very much like classical music, and I like orchestral music. And so modern orchestral music is basically video game soundtracks and films, I guess. But I find that Japanese video games, so Chrono Trigger, Chrono Cross, amazing. Final Fantasy, like that's all good. Yeah, Nightwish is solid. That they're Nightwish. I was so impressed when I checked out, because when they've done some albums with live orchestra, and then they've sometimes released just the orchestral backing, and you listen to that and it's like the best film music you've ever heard. It's amazingly well orchestrated and so expressive and beautiful. And yeah, so they have a really good orchestrator. It's really I actually I listen to that stuff for inspiration when I'm writing orchestral music, because it's so well orchestrated, and they use instruments that instrumentation that isn't even often used in film music. Like they have in Ghost Love Score, which is the best. Ghost Love Score is amazing, and you get oh, at the section. Let me see. I've got. That little bit is played on like an oboe, or I think it's a bassoon and a harp, and it's like that's so unusual. You wouldn't expect that in a big, dramatic, epic piece of music, that you would use a bassoon. But that's the brilliance of it. They're not afraid to use the woodwinds, which sometimes sometimes film soundtracks will just be kind of strings and brass and percussion, but the woodwinds, the flutes and the oboes and the piccolo, all these instruments are just as important in the orchestra, and it's lovely hearing that used well. And they use those in anime soundtracks really well. So yeah, Nightwish and anime soundtracks. I guess that's a good, that's a pretty good description.
I think those are pretty good choices.
Yes. Yeah, I love that stuff. I mean, in terms of soundtracks that have stood out to me, something that was very different, Hellsing, the Hellsing TV series has this crazy genre of music, all written by one guy. And it's like this weird prog rock jazz fusion stuff. It's incredible. It's mad, and it is so cool. So that was one of the coolest soundtracks I've ever heard. For video games that stood out as being unique, Diablo 2 was very, very cool. Lots of 12 string, kind of with these kind of big sweeping chords that are very atmospheric. And yeah, yeah, Diablo 2. Lords of Magic was a game from the 90s that had some really, really interesting kind of new age type tracks. So, yeah, I try to keep my taste eclectic because part of being a modern composer means that you're writing a soundtrack and someone says, right, we want a high fantasy, epic orchestral piece for the opening. And then they'll say, oh, and then at this point, we suddenly want it to be metal, or we want it to be jazz, or we want a bossa nova or something. And they'll just ask for a completely different genre for a different track. And so you kind of you have to be very flexible. And so the more genre, it's like with acting, the more genres you're open to, and the more you like, the better off you are, because then you'll be open to all the crazy things people ask you to do at the drop of a hat. So yeah, being open to multiple genres is a good thing for a composer. But my favorite is definitely orchestral. Either the very sort of romantic, adventurous, soaring orchestral music, but also the very soft, beautiful, lyrical kind of stuff. I think my favorite composer in the world is Yoko Kanno, and she wrote the music for the anime Escaflowne, which is wonderful. And she also did Cowboy Bebop, and she did Ghost in the Shell, and she's just done a lot of amazing Zankyo no Terror. That
Ooh.
one is really poignant. It's so beautiful. Oh my goodness. So yeah, I love the variety of her stuff, and just her orchestral music is beautiful. Always very lush. String orchestra is my favorite sound in the world. So anything that uses that well is good. But yeah, and yeah, Final Fantasy. Even when they've changed composers over the years, I mean, I think from Final Fantasy X, they always used to have Nobuo Uematsu right up until 10, and then mostly Masashi Hamauzu took over, and then did the 13 games. And then in 15, you've got Yoko Shimomura, who is the Kingdom Hearts composer, and that means you get a lot of that chord, because that's used. If anyone recognizes that, that's Somnus. But it's also totally Organization 13. It's exactly the same kind of sound. So she likes her C minor 7 chords on piano. But yeah, it's really interesting. I find it so fascinating in the same way that you can study actors and their patterns and techniques. You can do it with composers as well. You notice what kind of instruments they like and what kind of chords they like. And yeah, it's really interesting noticing the distinctive patterns that turn up in people's work. Yes, I love orchestral music, anime music, the Studio Ghibli films. Amazing.
It's hard not to like everything about those.
Earlier this year, I got to go to France, and I got to see Joe Hisaishi conduct a concert of his Studio Ghibli music. That was amazing. Oh, that was amazing. So yeah, getting to see Joe Hisaishi, the composer for all the Ghibli films, conducting the music to Princess Mononoke and Spirited Away and Howl's Moving Castle and all of the it was so cool. It was amazing. So yeah, that was a highlight of this year already. In fact, that was amazing. That was in Lyon, in France.
Kind jealous.
It was amazing. It was amazing.
Well, you can stop rubbing it in.
It's yeah. No, you have to try and seize these opportunities if they're possible, and when they turn up. You have to pursue your passions. It keeps you alive, and so that's what I'm trying to do with voiceover, because I wouldn't be able to face having a normal job. I don't think I wouldn't be very good at it. So I feel that the arts are necessary. I've been doing them ever since I was very, very young, and they are very much a calling for me. So it's just a case of sticking at them, really, for me, and staying passionate with them.
I think we can all say that we're grateful for that from you. You've definitely been how do I say, with Raise, that's part of our main community, so obviously having you do that is important to us.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, I've not been as good as I should be about being in touch in text. I'm probably better at just being in calls, so if people want to have calls, okay, more often, I'm fine for doing these. It's I'm not very good at keeping in touch with text so much. But yes, I'm happy to do little recordings for people, and yes, asking any questions and whatnot. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The last two pre-submitted questions that I have are quite different from each other, so I'm just going to say them at the
Okay.
same time.
Absolutely.
So the first is, what are your next commitments in terms of voice acting, singing, composing, and are you a cat person or a dog person?
Okay, so let's see. Yeah, well, so I'm composing soundtracks for 2 video games at the moment. One is an action RPG, and I think the other one, let me think. Yeah, I think they're both roughly in that kind of genre. So I'm getting to write the kind of music that I love, which is kind of Japanese RPG type music. I those are like Zelda and Final Fantasy and all that kind of thing. That I'm getting to write that style of music, which is absolutely my favorite thing. And yeah, so I'm writing 2 soundtracks. Hopefully, I will eventually get them finished. That would be nice. And um, let's see. Singing wise, I don't think there's any. I did a little bit of backing singing on one of the tracks for one of the for one of these games that I'm composing for. So that's been cool. Um, let's see, anything else? Oh yes, voiceover. Yeah, so well, recently I've done some stuff for Warhammer 40K, and so that's been very cool. Very amusingly, I got cast as a commander who gives you a mission to find someone else, and then I play that person as well. So it's just, I'm Stephen, go and find Stephen. It makes that's great fun. So that was entertaining to do. I had to make sure that I differentiated their 2 voices enough. But yes, there was I think the named character I remember from Warhammer 40K Inquisitor was Ambrose Caradoc, who is one kind of general character that you fight alongside. So that was good fun. Gave him a very sort of grungy voice, and so they were looking for English accents in that game. So that was fine. So yes, I think that's most of the stuff that's going on at the moment. I'm always auditioning for doing. I do little commercials and things. I recently did a voiceover for a meditation app of all things. That was something different. Um, that was really interesting because
We're gonna need a name for that one.
I believe it's called Bloom. Bloom meditation app. It's a VR thing, I believe. Um, so yes, it was the Bloom VR meditation app was the name of it, and that was. It actually takes so much concentration to do one of those because you're having to speak just very quietly, very softly, and never be intrusive with the sound. And just like because you're being so intimate, the recording has to be pristine. You have to make sure there's not a single sound in the room. And even the sound of your own mouth moving can be abrasive. So you have to just be very careful and very delicate with it. It was remarkable. So that was a really interesting, different thing to do. Really, really cool. I hope that it's around somewhere. Often they don't tell me though. I just do the voice work and send it off, and that's it. So hopefully someone can find it.
We'll let you know when we
Yeah.
do.
Yes, let me know if you track it down anywhere. But yes, that was really cool to do, and that was something different. And I really do enjoy working in different genres and styles because yeah, there's so much interest to be found and in so much variety. So yeah, yeah. No, it's all fun. Even the not safe for work stuff. It's been quite entertaining to do that kind of thing. Because it's just different. And I think um my point of view, like some people can be I guess they feel like certain work is off limits or wrong to do. I feel as though nothing's creepy if it's consensual. That's how I'd put it. So I'm fine with doing voice work for
That's fair.
yeah, like I think that something sexual is only like it's only questionable or creepy if the other person isn't happy with it, you know? Um so that's kind of how I feel about that kind of work. I don't feel there's any well, yes, and age, of course. But but in terms of voiceover, it's not something that I feel anxious about because if other people like it, it's fine. From my point of view.
I think Fluff might die if I don't ask you about voicing this image she keeps posting.
Oh right. Let's see.
I
So
guess it's just
is it
the middle line there.
Okay, yeah. Tonight I'm serving looks.
That'll get clipped, I'm sure. So I've got a couple of the other submitted questions that were done earlier. One of them is, can you say "my chicken nugs" in Ray's voice?
Okay. Was it just the phrase "my chicken nugs"?
Yeah, I think so.
My chicken nugs.
You're welcome, Shrimp. Let's see here. What is in this list? When Lamb has been presented to you the drawing of Raised, did you know if she had made the drawing? She says, I think yes, but she just wants to. And if yes, the person who submitted this question wants to show something. And apparently it's a secret that they've been keeping. I don't know.
Right. So what was the question was if I saw what was that about the drawing?
If you saw the original drawing and if you knew that Lamb had
Sorry, that cut out. If I knew that what?
That Lamb, the creator of the game, had done the drawing.
I don't think I know which drawing is being referred to. When I auditioned for the character, the picture of him was basically the main picture that you see of him around. So just the wonderful, the fabulous, yeah, the sort of main kind of box art type picture for him. That was what I saw of him, and I thought, oh my goodness, I need to audition for that, because he was delectable. But yes, I don't think I've seen the picture that's being referred to. Otherwise, if it's something else.
Okay, I tried to tag the person who asked the question to see if they could clarify, but they're not responding yet. So we'll go to the other one.
Very well.
Someone wanted to know the names of the characters that you voiced in Dragon Age.
Oh yeah. Right. Yes. There was Lord Pell Harmond, and there was, I think the other characters didn't have names, but there was the Skyhold librarian. So that there's an elf librarian in Skyhold, I think. I'd seen him turn up in a video, and he's very excited about parchments, and so he was good fun. And then there's also the Hessarian bandit leader, who I think you can only find him. Yes, so Lord Pelharmond was in Sarah's Quest. Yes, he was basically me doing my natural voice, just sounding especially smug about it. The Hessarian bandit leader was you can only, I think you have to sneak into the Hessarian bandit camp or get in there somewhere, and you can challenge their leader to a duel, and that was me. So he was sort of, he was very, very sort of dark and gruff kind of voice. He only had about 3 lines, but that was the first one I recorded for them. And then the other one was really lovely. It was a character. He was just called Runner, I think. That was just his job. He's a messenger boy, basically, who takes messages between, I think, Leliana and Cassandra. And he was this, this like quite stuttering kind of Scottish character who seemed very sort of worried about giving bad news to important people. And so that was that was really lovely. He was he was very endearing, and they got me to give him a Scottish accent because they knew I was from Scotland, so they wanted me to use that accent for him. So that was really lovely. So yeah, all of the characters had something distinct about them that was great fun to do.
It seems like the secret was that one of the members of the Discord who regularly does fan art of Ray's
Right.
was
As
asked by Lamb
they
to.
should. Excellent.
It looks like she'll be doing more line art, perhaps?
Okay.
Oh, that's a long question.
Well, I won't be able to read it if the chat keeps moving.
Yeah, I'm just.
But maybe I can copy and paste it if you like. Then I can see it in a text file.
Oh, I can
It
do.
finished with a chicken nugger. Was that intentional?
I feel like this is some copy pasta.
Oh, wonderful. Let me see. I'm just attempting to paste it into a document, so people don't have to worry about not typing anything else. Okay, I've got it. Let's see. What have we got here? So this is some kind of copy pasta, is it? Let's see then. I will attempt it. Let me see. That's what have we got? You sit at a restaurant with your young son. He says he's hungry. You agree to get him dinner. You open up to the kids' menu. Your child is far too young for adult food. Chicken Nugger stares at you from the page. You don't understand. Your palms get sweaty and your son complains. He says he is hungry. Your mind strains, searching for an answer in a world of sweer potato and French fried. You try to order the Chicken Nugger, but you cannot. The words escape your lips. Your son is hungry. He complains. The waitress stares at you. Her head a spinning chicken nugger, her arms swinging French fried. Your son cries the tears of a chicken nuggerless child. In your mind, you scream. It is raining sweer potato now. You have French fried engraved on your left temple, and you do not understand. Your son weeps in the corner. He is starving. Starving for the chicken nugger. That is ridiculous.
Yep. That's all there is to say about that, really.
Oh,
but it was very well done for what it was.
Oh, goodness.
So some of the other questions that I have still from the chat log, so that since Shrimp is jumping the line, I think this is also a Shrimp question.
Okay.
Is Ray's dummy thick?
Sorry, what?
Is Ray's dummy thick?
I think that's. I've noticed the phrase "thick" starting to move around on the internet. I'm not quite sure what it means, though.
Shrimp, if you want, you can type out some context, explain what you mean.
If it's a good thing, then yes.
Generally, yes. Thick with 2 C's is a good thing.
Yes. Yes.
Which
Oh,
meme?
yes. Yes. Certainly. Mm-hmm.
Being yelled at about memes, and I'm not sure which one.
Oh yes, the meme. Oh yeah, that one.
So another of the questions that we've got here were: are you low key into Rays, and would you
I'm
fight
high key into
bright for?
Rays. Always. Yes, unapologetically. Unapologetically. No, I mean, yes. One of the reasons I auditioned for him was because I saw him and thought, oh, he's gorgeous. Need to audition for him.
Okay, so we would fight bright.
Mm-hmm. Fight bright.
It's
Oh goodness, you've got ah.
Oh, is this? Oh, I think this was after I left during the last Q&A with Jonathan. I don't know what happened.
Ah, let's see. Ah, goodness me. The clap of the ass cheeks keeps alerting her. Yes, that's always a problem. Whenever you're trying to play a stealth game, it just doesn't work. Could never make my way through Metal Gear. Hmm.
Okay, so we've been going for almost 2 hours.
Excellent.
How are you? Are you
I'm
wanting
fine,
to?
yes. I mean, I will need to eventually do some composing tonight, but I'm often quite nocturnal about artistic work. It's yeah. So I'm fine. I'm fine.
Okay, so are you or would you
Mm.
be okay if I allow the others to unmute themselves so that they can?
Oh, sure.
All right.
Yeah, yeah. That's fine.
If you want to unmute yourselves. And
Hello. Love you too. Lots of love for the big titty waifu.
Oh god. Which one of you gave me that name again? The mods here can change your name without you consenting. And I don't know how I got this one.
Right.
Yeah, you found out.
How long has it been that?
a while.
It's been
I was gonna
months.
say, I haven't bothered to change it.
Well, why fix what ain't broke?
I know, right?
Hmm.
Panda, save me, it's quiet.
No, you're on your own.
Oh,
I mean,
betrayal!
Hi.
Ah,
Oh,
we have
fetus.
some Spanish love.
oh yes, that's me.
Excellent.
I
I'm
wasn't
a shrimp.
joining straight away because I was thinking let's leave like the true race fans to just take it out first. But I must say, oh sorry, I keep interrupting you. Just go ahead, please.
Oh, okay. Hi, I'm a shrimpy fetus.
We just refer to her as such because she's the youngest.
I'm a
Mm.
baby.
Still 18, but the youngest.
A
Mm.
baby. But you have a 10 out of 10 voice, and yeah, oh crap, my dog's here. Hi.
Oh well, hello. Woof.
Wait, say hi, Freya. Freya. Oh, you lazy butthole. Never mind. She's staring at the computer. She's very
That's
upset.
as we all are, yes.
No, I'm totally not staring at a computer. I'm speaking
Oh.
via my pigeon.
Ah, yes. The reception's pretty good.
Yeah,
Pigeons
Pigeon
are very
reception,
reliable
11 out of 10.
clearly.
these days.
Oh, by the
come on
way,
now.
the cheese.
Oh yes, say it. Say it.
It's Parmigiano.
Okay, so it's a Parmigiano, yes?
Yes, but it's like a softer G sound, I guess. No, what you said earlier.
Yeah. So I earlier I said J, so it's more like a J then.
Yes.
J, Parmigiano.
A little less.
A little less. So a bit harder than that, or?
Yes, a little harder. Yes.
Parmigiano?
Yes,
Something like
that's
that.
perfect.
Okay, excellent. Good. I will consult you in future if I need to do any Italian voiceovers.
So am I allowed to ask for a serenade of Country Road?
I wanted this the whole time. Sing Country Road, please.
Please.
Yeah,
Play.
they also asked Jonathan to do exactly the same, so...
I'm an independent fetus. I will punch your knees.
I only know a very brief bit of the words. Let me see where
That's
it
okay.
is. Country... Let's see, what is it? What's the country roads take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home, country roads. Something like that.
That's
I'm
great.
happy.
That sounds amazing.
I'm very happy.
Great.
I love
Good.
those.
Excellent. I hope Discord didn't cut it out. Sometimes it can be a bit funny about. Okay, as long as it works.
Yeah, it did.
Sometimes it starts muting. Sometimes it starts muting people as soon as they start, like, making a sustained sound because it thinks it's background noise. But that's.
Oh
good
my
that it
god.
works.
My bird wants to say hi.
Ah.
Hello. Oh, now you're quiet. Never mind.
So something I wanted to tell you before, like, something I was thinking before is that I'm not like the biggest fan of Reyes. I don't hate him, but I don't love him a lot. But honestly, I was thinking like just like this interview, because it's the first time I'm present with an interview with you. I don't know, it's making me like Reyes more. Just such a lovely person and just so funny that I think I must play Demon Heart again, and this time just go full on for Reyes.
Oh, well, excellent,
converted her.
excellent. Good. I'm glad to hear it. No, that's lovely. Yeah. No, I mean, I can understand why. I mean, you know, characters like him can be. I mean, he can be very cold and petty and manipulative, and that's very good reasons not to like someone. But I liked I liked how many different sides there are to a character like him, and I try to explore as much of the scope of a character like that, and to find, again, it's part of being an actor is to take a character who might not be a very nice person and finding the connection in them.
Yeah.
Here we go. Excellent.
I guess what I should have said is like I don't usually romance him, but I do like Reyes as a character, and I usually try to end with him in good terms because I tend to play with like the most evil you can be. So Reyes is a very good ally for that.
Oh, that's very good.
Yes.
I always had trouble with that when I tended to play RPGs. They always went the same way because I would just be the good guy and make all the nicest decisions because I couldn't bring myself to being horrible to the good characters. But it does. I love stories that do let you play it out in so many different ways, and yeah, I mean, it is wonderful getting to indulge the fantasy of being a terrible, destructive person.
Oh yeah,
because
Yes,
you can vent all of the things that you can't do in real life. It's great.
Absolutely. Usually I play the same way as the good guy, but in this game, in Demon Heart, like everyone is just such a fucking bitch. Like everyone just needs to die. It's like I was just at first, my idea was okay, I'm going to play like as a good person and stuff like that. But then everyone just starts backstabbing you, and it's like, okay, well, then you all have to die. Fuck you. Thank you.
It's true. Demon Heart is the one game where I do not feel bad playing as a total psychopath. Because it's a world of psychopaths.
And then you have Reyes, who is just enabling you to be a psychopath, so...
But I like that I can seduce him by being a good noodle, too.
Right.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
I'm a good noodle.
With Reyes, human weakness, or human decency, is this weakness?
So yeah, is it possible to romance him while having a good and evil? Is it possible to have
Yeah.
two different romance paths for
Yes.
him then?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Right.
Yes,
He will
'cause he
hate
can
Yeah.
you
teach
the
you how
entire
to
way
be good.
through.
If you're good, he's like, yeah, well, you should change your ways, but I guess maybe I can
Right.
Deal with it.
take some ideas from
There's something from you.
exactly, yes.
But it's
Mhm.
actually what is hilarious is if you have like an open attraction for him and you tell
Mhm.
him at some point, like at the breaking point when he's just like going crazy, he starts to yell at you when you're just telling, no, Grace, like I love you. He just is like, oh my god, she thinks I'm stupid.
Oh, yeah,
And
yeah.
he's just in total denial and yelling at you like, do you think I'm a fool?
Oh no,
You know-
best part of the game. Go into the lair and be like, dude, I'm just trying to get out of here. Like, can we leave?
Yeah.
Okay, one time I accidentally molested.
What?
You
Oh,
accidentally molested him.
what pointy adornment did we brush against?
I'm a bad noodle now.
Bad shrimp. Bad shrimp.
I'm already grounded. What more can I do?
Hey, he's already in trouble.
Best remember that.
I got tiny baby fists. I'm not afraid to use them on your kneecap.
Oh god.
Fight me.
Actually, I'm so small, Shrimp might be able to pummel my face.
How tall?
5'1 3/4.
Okay, I can get your shoulders at least.
Yeah.
Shit. I'm 5'2 3/4.
I'm
Damn
5'3.5".
Oh, I don't know
Oh,
feet
fuck.
measuring. You guys are weird. Americans and English people are weird.
Yeah,
what
I
do you
agree.
use there?
I use centimeters because I mean I
Oh.
live in the UK, so I know I think I am 5'9". I'm not sure. Let me.
Well, you're taller than
You're
me then.
so
Yeah,
I'm only
tall.
five. I'm only
I know-
5'7".
I don't know. I'm going to Google because I'm not sure of it honestly, but I think that was
Hmm.
about it.
Right. Yeah.
I'm 160 centimeters.
Yeah.
Is that better?
Okay, I'm
Mhm.
5. I'm 5. Oh no, I'm 5'7", like you.
Okay.
5'7",
There we go then.
just like you. There it is.
Everyone's
There we
so
go.
tall.
All a bunch of tall
No
people.
kidding. Let me punch your knees or your toes.
I think I'm like 5'2", if I remember correctly.
How much is in
Something.
centimeters, Milsey?
1.24. See, 24. I mean 54.
54. Oh, you're
Yes.
short. Oh, 154 is short. That's so.
Oh,
that's so cute.
in chat, Naomi was asking about the
Yeah.
recording.
Yeah. No, I need to do that. I think there wasn't a specific line. It was just generally him telling Bright that he's in love with her. Is that right?
Yeah, let me.
Okay.
I thought it was like, I love you, I've always loved you, but
Okay.
Panda, you
Ah.
might want to check with her.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm
think he
just
says
pulling it
that,
up.
though.
Guys, my cat is doing the cutest thing right
Hmm.
I just DM'd it to you, Steven.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was the thing. So when you'd messaged me, yeah, you just generally said "I love you" line ish. You said it was me.
Mhm.
But yeah, if it was I love you, I've always loved you. Yeah, I mean I can say it just now, but I can also I can record it. But yeah, it would be so.
I don't think
should
the
he say,
person who requested it is in the chat right now,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah, I can.
I think she
I
is.
can record it. That's fine.
Yes, he is.
Oh,
in
and
the chat.
yes, you can. Yes, you can. Yes, send me friend request, whatever. Yes. that's
Yay! Friendship initiated!
fine.
Aw.
Time to make the friendship bracelets. Who wants one?
So I guess
Why
I
not?
have a sort of question then. Where you're a voice actor and someone who understands and is able to have like an internet presence, like on Discord,
Hmm.
what kind of experience is that, being able to so easily interact with your fans, and that like your fans are kind of
Crazy.
more, it's a more personal, yeah, well, and crazy, yeah, that.
Well, it's lovely. I mean, it's yeah, you guys have all been really friendly, and yeah, I mean, I wasn't expecting to have this kind of Discord group appear. So it was a surprise when it turned up, but it's really cool. And yeah, it's lucky when you get to play a lovely character, because people appreciate it. And I really like the internet and the ability to be in contact with people, because I've been able to find people I looked up to, and I've been able to find them on Facebook or Twitter, and just send them a message, and they will get back to me. And it's like, that wouldn't have been possible before. Suddenly you
yeah.
can have direct contact with people just like that, and people who you would never normally have met. And so I think it's really, really cool. And I know how much I've appreciated it when I've been able to message one of my heroes and had them get back to me. And so I try to take that attitude forward and say, well, if someone enjoys something I've done, and they want to talk to me, I try to I try to get, yes, to be in touch with that, because I know how much I've appreciated it. So, but it's also really lovely, and it's a huge ego boost. It's wonderful.
Yeah, I bet it is.
Yes, being told how wonderful I am, it's excellent. Yes. So
I
yes,
hate the
it's
race,
lovely.
but now I love him.
Oh, that's exciting. Yeah. No, characters are so much fun to play, and I love, yes, just the whole process of getting into the psychology of a character and finding all the psychological connections to make with them, and to make them distinctive, because as an actor you're reflecting the writing that's there, but you're also adding to it as well. Because if the voice acting doesn't add anything, then you might as well just have it in text. But the reason we have voice actors is because they can add more than even just the text does. So I think a good acting performance has an obligation to add more to the performance, and to make it distinctive, and to add further levels of expression to the line of dialogue. So I'm always trying to find ways to do that. And yeah, with Ray's, it was very easy to do, because he's just written beautifully, and he's beautiful. He's beautiful. So yeah, he's an absolute pleasure to play. I think some people had asked me before about if I was going to be in the second game. I haven't heard about it, but yeah.
Oh yeah, we are pestering
I
Lamb
would,
about that.
Yeah. The dialogue's not all done yet, so.
if there is a second game happening, I mean, I've not heard anything.
There is.
Oh, there is.
Right?
Oh yeah.
So
It's got
yeah,
a Steam
I mean,
page.
I mean,
Great,
like, there's
well,
a second
yeah.
game, but Lamb isn't sure if he wants the voice acting, but we are just
Okay.
trying to pressure into having
Okay.
voice acting. We are there.
Yes.
We
Well,
want voice acting.
Well, if they decide to, I'll yes, obviously, I'll be very happy to do it. But you know, I can never. I'm not in charge of that, so I just have to. I'm just happy with whatever opportunities come along.
I think what she's trying to decide between sort of how much gets voiced, and if instead of specific lines, it'll be more like voice sets.
Yeah.
And we're also trying to pressure her into DLC of a certain sort.
Oh.
Indeed.
Yes. 18 plus patches, excellent.
Oh yes,
Go all the way.
It's a good thing I turned
glorious.
18 recently.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, the thing is, we cannot have the boys 18, but because Jonathan doesn't do it, I mean, we can have it for just Race, I guess.
Just everyone else is silent, and then you just hear. That's yeah. Everyone else is silent. There's no other voice acting. You just hear Ray's moaning. Fantastic. That's it.
Oh
no! Complaints that Ray's wasn't getting enough love in the main game, so this will be our apology present.
Okay, I want to know if Ray's has normal bodily functions. Like, does he have a functioning digestive tract?
Oh God.
I need to know these things.
I think you should ask that to Lamb, not to him.
Yeah, that's
me, though.
He's giving us looks for dinner. Obviously, he doesn't have a functioning digestive tract.
I'm having a foot cramp. Help! Oh my God, help!
Yeah, you can always tag Lamb in the Demon Heart like theories channel. See if she'll give some.
I mean, but the good thing of knowing that you have voiced that sort of thing before is that we might have hope that it will exist in the future for Demon Heart.
You may have noticed this Discord is full of a lot of thirsty women.
Yeah.
I'm not actually thirsty.
Race is not even my main, and still interested in him. You know, like any content is good content.
Right. Yep. That's
What I want is a wholesome hug. Maybe a kiss on the forehead. That would be precious.
I think that will scare him, probably.
Oh no.
You have to make sure he doesn't stab you with any horns.
Yeah.
I mean,
we can regenerate. Doesn't matter.
It's a risk we're gonna have to accept.
I don't know, I just think like if you're being soft and tender with Race, he's just going to think you're trying to manipulate him into something.
I'm not being nice. I just want you to make me some cookies. You live in an oven.
Yeah, I don't know how well cooking. I don't know how anything in Inferno works. It's just like, can I just leave flour out here and it'll raise by itself?
You gotta put some yeast in there too.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't correctly quote the recipe for bread off the top of my head.
Alright, so you need eggs, yeast, flour, a little bit of salt, maybe some sugar, depending on wheat,
Hey, Shrimp,
bread.
go back to being grounded.
Okay, Panda
No!
image. Panda, that image is fucking cursed.
I know.
What the fuck is that?
Where did you find it?
The internet.
Oh god, you guys put up when I wasn't looking.
I feel like I need to erase that from my memory somehow.
Oh god.
Oh my god. It's Raise!
What?
Oh my goodness me.
Oh!
Oh, dear me.
Oh!
That's worse. That's definitely worse.
I can't breathe.
Oh god. Oh!
Let's just go back to, I don't know, to Race's mood or something like that.
There we go. We've gotten rid of it.
Yes.
Why are you laughing too, Bird? Yeah.
Oh god.
Hi, Halo.
Oh,
I have
Marshall,
tears.
I'm not happy with you right now. That image, how dare.
Oh no.
I can't breathe. What is that?
Oh dear.
Okay, actually, there was a question I wanted to ask, and it's you know about like if in any future like games or movies or whatever things you follow, have you ever seen like a character that you think, oh, I would love to voice that character?
Yeah. Let's see. Let me think about that. Characters I would. So existing characters and things that I would love to try playing. Yeah. I mean, let's see. There. So one of my favorite anime characters is Makishima, Shogo Makishima from Psycho Pass. He's amazing. He would have been, yes, he's a very cool character. Likewise, Arden from Final Fantasy 15 is amazing. So I've actually been doing, there are some friends of mine who've been putting together little scripts of kind of fan scenes. I've been involved in writing them as well, and they're putting a bunch. Final Fantasy Dissidia, which is like a fighting game where all the characters from all the different Final Fantasy games come together. There is someone on YouTube. There's someone on YouTube called Ureshi who she uses a program called Miku Miku Dance to she can actually make animations. You can import characters from games into it and animate with them. And so she's been putting all the characters from Final Fantasy, from like using their Dissidia NT models and putting them into an animation program and having them interact. And so we can write our little fan script and she can animate it and we can voice it. And so I've actually been playing Arden Izunia in those because that's been really fun. So I've been writing his dialogue and playing him, which has been really cool because I've not done much writing before. So that's been a really cool outlet for that. So yes, yeah, I've been playing Arden in those scenes. There's only one of those scenes out so far, but we've been writing a few others. So hopefully we can get those together and she can get them animated. So I have actually played Arden in those scenes.
What are some of the other anime that you're
The first thing, because I started out by basically doing fan dubs. That's how a lot of voice actors learn these days. Is you take scenes from anime and you try recording your voice and putting it over the character. Because it's how you kind of learn how to do voices, how to read dialogue, and how to technically put things together in video programs and things, and how to do the sound mixing. And so I absolutely started off by doing little fan dubs of Light from Death Note when I was about 16. I loved his character. Again, he's a total sociopath, but he's great fun and very interesting character. And so yes, Light Yagami from Death Note, I loved him. There we go. There he is. He's another beautiful character. He's seriously beautiful.
Oh God, what is Dove? See, what is this manga I should read if you like sociopaths? You guys carry on. I'm going to find something.
Totally not showing off my photography of tiny babies.
Oh.
You've got some weird photography there.
I get bored. I'm telling you. It's boring sometimes.
That's amazing.
Yeah, man.
What the fuck?
What is okay, that's another cursed image.
That's very odd.
Do you like my tiny what? I hate that. I hate that. Get rid of it.
Why? Like how?
I don't like that.
Don't worry, we pushed it off the script.
There you go.
Another tiny baby.
Hell yeah. That's Shrimp.
Where
He's
do
my
you
son.
find all these tiny babies? Do you make them?
Amazon has some great prices.
You're paying money for these.
Yeah. I actually gave them to friends because I kept finding them all over the place. I only have one now.
That's really more than you need.
It was 144 of them, okay? What was I going to do with all of them?
Oh my
Oh, goodness me.
That's my first baby. He's my son. His name is Shrimp.
Alright,
Let's make
so what I was finding is if you like reading some mangas and stuff like that with sociopaths, I don't know if you have read this one, which is called Save Me.
No, I've not heard of it. Interesting.
Which, yeah, okay, I put the right link. Yeah, I put it to the chapter 1. So if you have the time, I think you will actually quite enjoy this one. It's not that
Really?
long. It's like I think 65 or something
Okay,
chapters.
yeah. Right, interesting.
Yeah, if
Yeah,
you
I
do read it,
Uh-huh.
if you do read it, let us know what you think about it.
Oh, sure, yeah. I mean, I've seen more.
Oh yeah, I remember which one saved me. Oof.
Yeah.
Oh god, I forgot about that one. Yeah, you're in for a trip, Steven.
Oh, right, okay.
It's so good. But I'm going to tag both.
I haven't read much manga. I've mostly seen anime, but I've taken a look at 1 or 2 bits of manga. Especially if there was an anime that didn't get finished or something, I might sometimes take a look at how the manga deviates and things like that. But yes.
Yes, it's recently huge. What if I want to do some more fake baby photography? Actually, I was trying to find those for Fluff. She was interested.
144. That's such a specific number, isn't it?
I
Yep.
know, right?
They came in individual wrappers.
Oh my god!
Are you serious? They came individually good.
Yes, I am.
Lord.
I
Oh
collect
dear.
dolls, and
Oh.
I wish I could have a picture of your face when you opened that box and you saw
I
there
mean,
was ahead of you.
I don't know. I have a picture of my face when not opening the box. You know what? Here, have 15-year-old me. That's about the age I took the pictures of.
Ah.
Did you at the end answer if you are more of a dog person or a cat person? I can't remember.
Oh, right, no, yeah, I don't think I got into that. I've never had a pet, really. I mean, I think we had a hamster when I was very young, but so I've never really had a pet. But my experience is that I've not seen that many friendly cats. They seem much more suspicious of strangers. So I like
my
that
gosh.
they're.
My cat Jonathan would love you.
Ah.
Do you want a parrot, by the way? He seems to really like your voice.
Oh, really?
Yes. He's being quiet, being a good boy for once.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say he'd been like quoting Ray's for the past week or something. That
Oh
would be
my god,
funny.
that would be so hilarious.
that would
I
be
would start
amazing.
teaching him.
If I was you, I
Right.
would totally
Let's start
put a
teaching him
recording.
now. Hey, Halo, you are mine. You are mine, Halo.
No, seriously, you need to get recordings of the actual voice lines from the game and put them in the speakers next to him.
Well, you know, Steven's here. Hey, Steven, start teaching him.
Yes, quite.
He's
Yes,
listening.
you are mine.
In fact, actually, no, but that's a good question. If you did have a parrot or any animal that can mimic speaking, would you teach them voice acting?
They'd be more likely to make lots of noise whenever I was trying to record. So that would be tricky.
Yeah,
but
no, I know a lot of.
Uh-huh.
Saying hi to you, by the way, and he won't shut up. Hi, Halo.
Hello, fetus.
So, other than like sociopathic anime, do you ever watch like sort of just anime to like cleanse your palate, sort of?
Let's see. What have been some of my? I liked. I mean, as far as like nice low key shows, Nana was lovely. About those, about people in a band, and that was just that was a really nice one. That was a very feel good show, even though it had some dark moments. It's so down to earth and lovely, and so it was really nice. Let's see. Well, I love Escaflowne. It's one of my favorites, and it's like it feels like a Studio Ghibli movie basically. It's very much that kind of mood where again it's got a lot of action and darker things going on and some death, but it's ultimately very high fantasy and very uplifting, really. So it's got a kind of nice, wonderful quality to it. What else? Let's see. Ping Pong, the animation was great. That was really good.
I'm gonna watch it now because that is the best name ever.
It's so good. It looks like it was drawn in MS Paint. Like it's got such a scrappy look to it. But when you actually see it animated, it works. It's very stylized, very exaggerated proportions. It's very entertaining. And
oh my god,
yeah,
it looks so cool.
Sports anime in general are really good. They focus so much on the reasons that the people play the sports and their relationships and why they take a particular sport really seriously and what they get out of it and how it relates to the rest of their life. It's just so they're such good shows. But yeah, Ping Pong the animation was lovely. Let me see. Oh, there was one. I've only seen a bit of it, but it's
What is that?
Amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, just like really exaggerated. I think that one's kind of the guy's imagining that the guy he's playing against is this monster. It's during like a high tension tournament, really serious tournament of ping pong. But yeah, it's fun. Yeah, shows that revolve around a particular game or around a particular sport are really interesting. Akagi is amazing. It's about gambling. And it's again very distinctive art style. Everyone's got very pointy noses, and yeah, Akagi is it's definitely one of my favorites. It's so entertaining because it's just this it's really high tension because the main character will be playing really high stakes gambling games against Yakuza. So it's like if you lose the bet, you die. So it's incredibly high tension, but at the same time, it's so over the top and so ridiculous. Whenever someone places down a mahjong tile, there'll be like a flash of lightning, and everyone goes, "Ah, he played that tile!" And it's that sense of melodrama that is so common to Japanese stuff that contrasts so well with the seriousness of the situation. And the main character always wins, but he's the main character is another of those cold sociopaths, so I love him. But yes, yes, Akagi, very entertaining show, really really cool.
Are you open
yeah.
to suggestions?
Yeah.
Are you open to like heartwarming, pretty food animation and pretty boys?
Oh god.
Sure.
that too.
Yes. I mean, yeah. I'm trying to think. There was a really nice high school one. The main character's really big. He's only like 13, but he looks about 30.
Oh,
really
I know
big.
that one.
It's like My Love
know that
Story, I think it's called.
Oh yeah, it's the one that he's supposed to be really ugly as well, kind of.
It was so
I think it is,
cute.
and then he falls in love with this girl,
Yes,
and the
with
girl
this-
then she's also in
Oh.
love with him, but they are both such an
Yeah.
awkward mess. Yes, I
Yeah,
love
it's
that
so
one.
lovely.
I
It's
love
so
that
lovely. It's
Oh my gosh.
really uplifting.
So
They,
I
also, they
think
had
that
a live movie of that one, and the live movie as well
Oh,
was so
right.
fucking cute. It was
Oh,
adorable.
nice. That's lovely. That's awesome.
I have one to recommend. It's called Mononoke. Very
Oh
stylish.
yeah.
It is gorgeous. Like, look at
Yes,
this.
I had put it on my list, on my anime list. I've got a huge my anime list of things that I need to watch that I've not got. There's probably 100 anime on my list that I haven't had a chance to check out yet. So there's lots. There's so many.
The Medicine Man
lovely.
is my husband. I love him.
Ah.
Wait, Steven,
Yes, I
have you
have
ever
to leave
watched?
because my stomach is killing me by now.
Oh.
But
Oh my god, feel
no,
better.
I mean I know stomach ache really. It's just I'm starving.
Okay. Well, yes.
Yeah,
Get something
yeah,
to eat. Yes.
Yeah, that's for sure. Anyway, I will be listening to this later on when it's all recorded and on YouTube.
let me feed
Certainly.
you my soup of healing. Come to
Don't
Grammy
taste
Ammy.
It's
Come to
probably
Grammy
filled with
Ammy.
the leftover
Anyway, before I leave, just like if you read the Save Me that I link you, just please put your reactions in here. Like I'm begging you.
Right.
I'm actually,
right.
I'm literally putting my pants to the screen, like I'm praying. So yeah, if you do read it, just let us know. Especially Dove as well, who is typing on the chat because she's obsessed with it, and she's the one that
Right.
got us to read it.
I need to scroll back up and find the link to it.
Hold
Where
on,
was
I
it?
think I have it still here. Yeah, there it is.
All right.
Okay,
Cool,
anyway,
yes, I
it's
will
been a
open that.
pleasure to
Yes.
listening
yes,
to
you
this
too.
interview. Like my liking of Race has rocketed now
Oh,
to the
great.
sky. Okay, bye
fantastic.
bye then.
All right. See you. Oh,
Anime.
lovely.
I don't make my special soup with tiny babies. I'm fresh out of those.
Ah, I'm familiar with Banana Fish. I've seen, I think, just the first episode or so. But yes, that one seemed quite good. I will check out more of it definitely. But,
I wanted to ask, have you ever watched Bakemonogatari?
I think that's another one on my list. I think there's so many of them. There are so many. Yes, I've not seen that one. What was it
It's good.
about?
basically there's this guy going around and he can see spirits and weird
Okay.
things happening. And
Right.
there's this girl who's basically possessed by a cat, and you may have seen some scene from that.
Okay. Right.
Wait,
Yes,
I'm gonna link it.
I think I'd heard it was good, so I added it to my anime list, along with the other 150 that I need to watch.
Oh,
can't
do you
remember.
guys want to see my lady beard?
What?
It took me an hour.
Oh, glorious.
I
That
thought
is
you meant
lovely.
something entirely different.
No. Why would you think badly of me? I'm only a baby.
There's nothing wrong or bad about what I was thinking.
What were you thinking? I don't have actual facial hair, if that's what you were asking. Sorry to disappoint you.
No, you think shrimp is a baby. They're incapable of growing facial hair.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Wow, thanks, Ark. I'm not that pretty. I'm not that pretty. I wish I was.
Like, how is that even possible?
Okay, so there's a lot of braiding involved
Okay.
and some hair ties.
Lady baby.
I forgot.
I'm fully convinced girls couldn't grow hair on their face like that.
I didn't grow it. I braided it.
I'm talking about the ones being linked below.
The actual picture.
Oh.
The second one is actually a man.
Yeah, no, I can tell the second one's a man.
I think the first one was I think they were involved. I think he's a guy who maybe cross dresses. I think his name was Conchita Wurst.
Sorry.
I think was the name.
Oh yes, I think it was.
Which is a wonderful name, Conchita Wurst. That's fantastic. So I'm pretty sure Wurst is just a word for sausage, isn't it?
Oh my god.
So that's, yeah, there he is.
Hang on, I'm finding the tutorial on how to do a lady beard.
Oh god.
If you have long enough hair.
I'm gonna go to sleep.
All right.
No, you should use that time to make a lady beard.
My hair is
Dream.
short, I
Everybody
can make
is
a
obsessed
little
with
beard.
lady beard.
Let your dreams take you off to the land of ladybeards.
Just glue your hair.
I'll make sure of that. Bye bye, it was fun.
Yeah.
Bye. I love you. Will you marry me?
Oh, she left.
Damn you. Nobody wants to marry me.
It's a big commitment.
Shrimp, you're grounded. Don't make it worse.
I've been grounded like 47 times already. Chill.
That's because you're a bad child.
I am not. I am a good noodle. I take AP classes like the rest of the good noodles.
Oh, Panda, what the heck? Please.
No, you must water your cermit.
Wait, oh I did not realize that. No. No, I'm not marrying my aunt. It's not gonna happen.
You just got grounded again.
Grounded times 48.
I don't know if you see this, but some of the chat want to know if they can record a bit of your laugh.
Ah, yes.
It's illegal.
Very well. Yes, that's fine.
My
There you
bird
go.
just said hi.
Just
Let
take
me
it home
mute.
with you. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes. I hope the bird was laughing.
He laughs all the time. The specific time he freaking laughed like you and scared the crap out of me. He's learning.
Ah, excellent.
Yeah. You like Steven, don't you? Look at you, fluffy baby. Yeah, he's pretending he doesn't see me. Oh, he said hi again.
Oh, there we go.
He says hi to himself. His name's Halo, so he says hi, Halo, but he's just saying hi. It's the worst when he's all alone and you're trying to sleep and he's like, hi, Halo. It's just so sad.
Oh god, it's the only people who have ourselves unmuted are all the socially awkward ones.
Let me
Got
sing
Shrimp.
a song of my people. Country road,
Oh god.
take me home to a place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Country road.
I don't even know
Excellent.
why the chat wanted to hear that so bad, but it was like from the moment we started, everyone was like, "Sing Country Roads."
Jonathan did it. Everybody has to do it.
Will you sing more
Oh.
Gaston?
Oh.
Oh my
we
god,
gotta-
yes.
We got to get the voice actor Ferrari then and have her come on and sing Country Roads.
Oh yeah, she has to do it. She also has to say she's
She's dummy.
Yeah,
Oh, God.
Ari's voice actress is also named Ari,
aww.
but she's shy and doesn't do voice.
Oof. I know that feel.
That's a mood. Took
From
me a
the
while.
moment I got on, I'm like, every time I speak, I'm like, oh god, was that wrong? Did I do a bad? Is Panda gonna quietly take me in the back room and thump me?
Who says I
She
need to take you to the back room to do that?
Oh, that's
Oh.
just mean.
You know, it's a good thing child abuse
I like
is
to be
illegal
transparent,
because
okay?
good thing child abuse is illegal because she can't do anything to me.
But
Careful.
you're 18, you're legally an adult.
No, I'm a fetus.
I mean, technically, assault is illegal too. It's just, for some reason, I think assault is a lower crime than child abuse.
To prove
Well,
it.
yes, because the child's a child.
I guess. I don't know. I don't know how the legal system works, and it's different from country to country. We'd have to reconcile the Canadian.
Oh, holy
and
crap,
US
what is this
laws.
GIF? It's cursed. I hate this. You guys have to see it too.
Oh, goodness.
No, I don't know what it is, but I am not clicking. Well, no.
I don't like it.
Stop.
Oh, did somebody freaking remove it? Wow.
Admin power.
I'm so mad now.
Removed by the powers that be.
Right here. This is me.
Uh-huh.
I am that.
Yeah, no.
I'm a fetus.
As small as you are, I think you're bigger than 0.5 millimeters.
No, I'm a fetus that can talk. I developed a brain the moment I was.
Panda, what are you mad about?
Please don't kill us.
I mean, she said everyone could come off of mute and talk. She opened the gates for this.
Do you want to see fetus Amethyst? I have some pictures of fetus Amethyst. She was
Please, no.
cute. No, I don't have actual fetus pictures. Jeez.
Oh. Okay.
I have a cute little happy baby picture of me.
Well, that's different. That's cute, not disturbing.
Yeah. I mean, look at how cute I was. What happened?
Aww. Oh, come on. To be fair, nobody, even the hottest people in the world, they don't measure up to the baby pic. You will never be as cute as an adult as you were as a baby.
Like I could actually smile. Now when I smile, I look like a deformed rat. I'm offended that genetics took me to the way I am.
Oh, I am a savage.
Ooh, another cursed image.
Oh god.
So I
no.
think the questions have died off. So Stephen, if you need to go do your composing, we would not want to stop you from doing.
Oh, there's one last question from Dove. She wants to know if you've seen The Promised Neverland.
The Promised Neverland?
Yeah.
No, what's that?
It's a great feel-good anime. It's totally not about eating children.
All right. Okay.
Oh man, are we getting into like what is that satire?
The Promised Neverland is an anime where it's not really spoilers. You find out in episode 1. Demons have taken over the world, and they have to subsist off of eating brains. So the adults raise children in basically farms, unaware of what they're going to go through, but when they turn 12, they get harvested.
Oh my god, so they made an anime about Amada's
what?
Amada's proposal. Jonathan Swift. It's an old thing where this guy was like, these people of Ireland are starving and they keep having children. I propose that we freaking eat the children and use their skin as leather.
Okay. Are you still recording or have you stopped now? Okay. Wait. Oh, okay. Stop now. I think it's